There's always that lag, so I'm just making sure.
You're live.
And we're live, babies. So I definitely want to start off by saying this is the first time that I've had both Rachel and Eric in here, and I'm just so happy.
Good luck.
I'm just so happy. So what we have today is me, who's fully on board with Scream 7. You have Eric, who's about 50-50, and
Mhm.
Rachel, who's like, this movie can suck it.
That is an exact quote. It's on the movie poster.
100% verbatim.
There we go. So this should be an interesting conversation. I feel like when I came out of the theater, the friend that I went to go see this with, she was super super bummed because I'm just going to say it. They have purposely gotten ticket money from people knowing full well that they were teasing them with something, and they banked on that. So that's what I'm going to say about it, okay? I was still fully happy 100% with this movie. There's flaws, of course,
Mhm.
but I do feel like they sold tickets with that teaser in the background, even in their marketing. Now, I was very careful, and I think I told you both that I tried to go into this semi-blind to where I wasn't really watching. I started to watch a trailer, and then I kind of decided, no, I'm not gonna. So I was kind of listening to it, but then had my eyes closed, which I know sounds really goofy, but I didn't want to ruin it. And these trailers, they like to give the whole freaking movie right in the trailer.
Mhm. Yeah, well, that's a chance. That's why I always tell people,
Yeah,
unless you're seeing it before a movie, don't click on the YouTube video. That's
yeah.
it. You know.
And
So
I feel like if
Mhm.
it's a sequel to something you've already seen, if it's part of a franchise, I just don't think I'm gonna watch a trailer anymore. If it's part
mhm.
of a franchise, I'm just gonna just, okay, who's in it?
Mhm.
And then try to see what maybe is written out there to, from people that have seen it as like a test audience, if they put something out like that, a written something. But as far as watching the full trailer, I just don't think I want to do it because they do too much. So
Well, it depends too, because you can avoid YouTube and trailers all you want. I told you personally, like 2 weeks ahead of time. And we're obviously, I'm sure we're going to talk spoilers. The movie's been out for what, since March, for at least a month, and it's now on streaming. Um, you can just, I told you to avoid the internet because
yeah,
they're having certain people, hey, they're on the red carpet, they're in this movie. So you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't, regardless when it comes to spoilers. And I've never cared about spoilers, spoil it all, because sometimes spoilers get me excited. You know what I mean? So I'm all for it,
oh
but
yeah,
I can see your point, because I when we get into the twist of who is and who isn't, technically in the movie, a lot of people were excited, and you can say it one way or another, but that's Hollywood. You gotta sell tickets, and it got people in, and like I've said before, it's a business, and they had to bring in those people that were going to protest, even though they were there opening night regardless. You know what I mean? So they had to bring in the fandom that said they weren't going to go, and they didn't want to take any chances. And they know the hustle. So I'm going to say more power to them.
Eric, you have me picturing people like incognito with trench coats and sunglasses with their popcorn, like,
Oh, they're sitting there
nobody
with their
sees me.
no, they're sitting right there front row with the picket sign behind them, so the people that willingly went in there can't see the screen. That's what they did.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, I guarantee it.
Guys,
What do
I'm
you
sorry.
want
I
to
just
say?
want to. This is completely off topic, but talking about pickets, did you guys ever hear about the time that Kevin Smith
Oh yeah,
picketed his own movie?
yeah.
When they released Dogma, he
Mhm.
went to like the opening with a picket sign, and he fully got like interviewed on screen, like by some journalist about like how the evils of this movie. And I'm like, oh, only Kevin Smith would do something like that. That is so brilliant. But yeah,
Yep.
just
That's
when Eric was talking
hilarious.
about picketing, that just popped into my head. Sorry,
Mhm.
it's off
Oh yeah.
topic, but it's just
No,
such a fun little tidbit.
no, go for it. We go on these tangents all the time, Rachel. So you got an
Okay,
idea,
cool,
and I've already
cool.
told Barb. She knows I talk over everybody. So just jump in and shut me up. It's all good.
No, I think that I've
Good stuff.
honestly, okay, so anyone watching, I want to say Rachel said to me when I approached her and said, "Hey, Eric and I want to talk about Screams." Okay, I want to talk about Scream 7 and Eric
Yes.
will be there.
Yes, get it
I had
correct.
to correct myself there.
Because Patrick is in the chat. And he thinks I'm a fucking sellout. So I said Barb is the only one I will discuss Scream with. So that's what it is. I'm helping out a friend. She ain't paying me any money.
The
Trust me.
exception.
But do you
Yeah.
know
That's right,
why
because
he
you're
says
not-
that?
Well, he's not a big Scream fan, are
He's
you,
not.
Eric? You're
No,
not in general.
no.
You're not a fan of this franchise.
I
enough.
I really like the first one. I
Mhm.
like the second one better because I'm a sucker for the vengeful mother. You know what I mean? So I love Mrs. Loomis. And then Barb knows my feelings on Scream 3.
I think I do too, actually. I
yes.
think I've seen you on Knight's channel. So yeah.
I do not like Scream 3 at all.
But that's precisely why it would be fun to do this again for Scream 3, because Rachel loves Scream 3.
I'm all for it. I'm all
Mhm.
And
for
I'm
it, like I said.
50-50 and you don't like it.
And Scream 4 I've seen maybe 2 or 3 times, and I don't hate it, but it's one of the ones I don't remember. So that says something if I can't even remember what's going on in it. And I thought 5 and 6 were just fine. That's it. So I don't
Fair
hate
enough.
the franchise, but I really
Just
don't
not
love
fully
it.
invested in it.
After part
Yeah.
2, I really honestly could care less, you know.
Well, and
Yeah,
I think
fair enough.
and we'll definitely talk about this later, but I think the reason why you might not like the franchise as much as maybe some of the other franchises too is because the fandom is so crazy.
Yeah.
Like the fandom, it's just, we were talking about toxic fandom, which is something that we're going to save that kind of for later in the discussion, but
Sure.
it's definitely, it can definitely sour some people on, watching some of the movies, and, it's worth the conversation. So, but getting into Scream 7, I will say this is a movie that, of course, it had a lot of problems, which was so reminiscent of 3, honestly.
Yeah.
Thinking about all the stuff they went through just to try to get that released, and it wasn't exactly what they had hoped for, but I don't know, Rachel and I like it.
That's all that matters.
It ended up being okay. But Scream 7, definitely, it's like there's some callbacks to that just behind the scenes, I mean. And I feel like with what they had to work with after having lost the director that they wanted and everything, I think Kevin did some great work with some of what was presented, some of what we had seen. And I was kind of looking here to see, did I save it? There was I might not have saved it, but I'll bring it up because I know you guys are going to remember what I'm talking about. This lady, in the beginning, when her and her boyfriend were inside the house, and you can see her looking at the, what do you call that, animatronic? Like she was trying to get it
The
to
motion, the
animatronic works.
motion, yeah, the motion sensor.
Yeah.
Ghost face.
And then behind her, you see it, you see the real ghost face, like peer into light, and then just back off and just fade out. That was brilliant.
Yeah, it was really cool. Yeah, I know Kevin Williamson has only directed one movie, and that was like decades ago. So I have no way to judge him as a director,
Right.
but I think I'm gonna call him a first-time director because no one has watched Teaching Mrs. Tingle or remembers it. It doesn't count. Okay?
I have.
Have you seen it? Have you seen it in the last 25 years?
Yes.
No.
Oh, all right. All right. Either way, he has shown some really cool stuff, or really cool things that he knows how to do behind the camera. So I will give him credit where credit's due in a lot of scenes.
Yeah.
Very surprised.
Yeah. So everyone that wants to throw him under the bus, that poor guy, I feel like he did do a good job. He just, as far as them showing it to a test audience, and the test audience didn't really care for what was shown. What are you gonna do? I mean, what we got was what we got, and but yeah, going into it knowing that this was going to be a movie that was primarily about Sidney, and it felt like it just felt like the focus, they did a good job with showing, like, okay, here's her family, here's how she's living now. She's not trying to hide or run away, which we did see in the third one, right? At the very end, she's like, oh, the door's open, I'm just going to leave it open. I'm going to go watch a movie. No big deal. So, I mean, they were already kind of showing us that about her character anyway, that she was getting a little bit more confident, didn't want to hide away. So, I feel like they did a good job with having this be, very much Sydney's movie, and I personally feel like it's her best sequel. I don't know, what are your thoughts on that?
You
Rachel?
go first, Eric. I'll
Oh, okay.
save mine. No, you go first.
Okay.
I'll save mine for the end.
Okay. Best sequel, again, I don't know, because after 3, they're kind of bit roles, you know what I mean? They're kind of more cameos. So it's kind of hard to really judge it. I will say this, she's really, really good in it. I'm
Mhm.
glad, like, I didn't care that she wasn't in the previous one. I really didn't. I'm all for something new. I mean, I've teased you, Barb. I'm like, how many fucking people hate Sydney? You know what I mean? There's how many people have to go after her specifically. So I was okay having a little bit of a break, but I really liked Nev Campbell in this, and I thought, because you know what? Well, we talked about fandom. Everybody jumped on her, initially for not being in the previous movie because she wanted more money. She didn't think it was worth it. You know. Well, I think now in this one, it's one of her strongest performances, I guess you would say, because she is being the mother and she has to be the protector instead of being the damsel in distress, I guess you would say, like the first 3 movies. You know what I mean? So I think Nev did a really good job with the character, at least in my opinion.
Yep.
We'll start off positive. Nev is a powerhouse, okay? She usually doesn't disappoint, and she brought her A game, all right? I'm
Mhm.
watching this, and I'm like, definitely Sydney. She's definitely got a hold on where the character is, and, like, whenever I've always said that I find her in Scream 4 to be sleepwalking a little bit, and I think that's down to the fact that she really doesn't have much to do in Scream 4, but that
Right.
brings me back to which kind of my main point, and I've been saying this since movie 3. I love Sidney Prescott. She is my
Okay.
favorite final girl, but she is done. Like, she's been done since number 3, and the way they keep bringing her back, for me, it's starting to get fatigued. I want the story to go somewhere new, and that's why I loved The Carpenters. I thought they were such a breath of fresh air. I was a Sam stan from number 5 because I have this whole thing with screw up older siblings because it hits a little close to home. So, like, I loved Sam from the beginning. I thought number 6 then really proved that we don't need Sydney for a Scream movie. And I'm not saying that with any disrespect to Sydney as a
Mhm.
character or Nev. Those first 3 movies, Sydney Prescott carries those movies. She's so good. She's such a great final girl. And I think that her growth over those first 3 movies is so spectacular, but it's done. And so I'm watching this movie and I'm like, yeah, okay, Sydney's a badass. Sydney's this and that, but we know all this. We know that she's like this. There was nothing new to this movie. There was nothing for me, she didn't have an arc. Like, she was exactly the same at the beginning of the movie as she was at the end of the movie. Yeah, she's tough. Yeah, she's awesome. We already know all this. We could watch Screams 1 to 3 and we could see that Sydney is amazing. We don't need this. And we'll talk a little bit more about this as we get into more spoilers, but I didn't like the way that I personally felt that this film was trying to erase the Carpenter sisters and kind of make it out like it should always have been Sydney. And I'm like, no, Scream 6 proved that we can still have an entertaining, energetic, awesome Scream movie without her. We don't need to now come back and say it should have been Sydney, it should have been Sydney, because it's like so clearly, no, the Carpenters were doing just fine. So, yeah, Nev is great. I have nothing bad to say about her performance. I thought some of her scenes with, like, Tatum, for example, were effective. Not all of them. I think there was definitely some very thin writing going on. And, she's definitely a badass, but I've seen all this before. I can watch, like, Scream 1, 2, and 3, and those are all movies I enjoy a heck of a lot more than this one. So if I want to see badass Sidney Prescott, I can watch the originals.
No, you're not wrong. I will say that, and this is something we've talked about, I think, before. How you don't always see that in the original movie. You don't always see an arc. Like, if they know that they're going to be eventually be adding on to a
Mhm.
franchise, they hold on to some of that arc for later. But with her, you saw her in the beginning as kind of, grieving still over her mother, but then by the end, she's punching, Ghostface and fighting for
Yep.
her life.
Mhm.
She's I've said this for years, that she's not just a survivor. She actually fought, through this. And I guess, sometimes, like, okay, making the comparison to this Scream Queen versus Final Girl or kind of type of thing. And it's like Final Girl, when you see movies like Ready or Not, that's
Mhm.
not just a Final Girl. It's almost like another level
Yeah.
to it. And I feel like that's kind of where she falls into maybe that category too, where she's a fighter. And so I understand exactly what you mean when you say that. And with her in this one, I kind of felt like, even if they didn't bring her back for 8, I would actually be satisfied. I'm really satisfied with what they did with her character in this, because they're showing like, oh, this is her as a mother now. This is her as this mama bear type that is now having to protect her family, not just herself and her friends. So that was kind of an interesting take there in getting to see her. But in 8, do you think that they will probably have her, but in a more like a smaller role, more of a side character then?
I'm just wondering what else can she do? And kind of
Yeah.
go with like what Rachel said. After 3, she's not necessarily needed. She really isn't. It's like we always go back to Halloween. Do we really need Laurie Strode back again? No,
No,
no. Do
no.
we really need Sidney back? And the thing is, it's cool. Like if maybe you know she would show up, like she wasn't in 4 or 5, maybe she showed up in 6, because they asked her, who could be doing this or something like that. But her character is not necessary. I do agree with Barb. I liked the whole like now she has to be the protector thing. You know what I mean? But I think a lot of the whole, like what Rachel said, the whole she should have been in the last one, because they literally, Courtney Cox literally said, you should have been, it's too bad you missed what happened in New York. That messed me up. And then
Mhm.
later on in the movie, she says, I should have been there for you in New York. That's just the writers
Yeah,
trying to appease the
that's it.
fans that were pissed that she wasn't in the next one. That's what it was.
Yep.
Now, granted, you got to judge the product on the final product, so they didn't have to put that in there, but there's good fan service, and then there's that. You know what I mean? That was just
Mhm.
to appease the online angry fan base, and that's all that was. I don't think it destroys her character, but it is true that it does put her a little bit on a pedestal when she wasn't in the previous movie, when she really didn't have to, because I like the Carpenter sisters too. My only problem with the previous 2 was I hated the whole Billy Loomis thing. I thought that was, I couldn't stand Ghost Billy. That's what I call him, Ghost Billy. I hated it, hated it. It made me mad. I'm like, no, just have her deal with something wrong with her. Maybe she has these urges. People just have urges to kill. I'm sorry, it's not just because you're the mystery love child of a psychopath from 25 years ago. You know what I mean? Something like
No,
that.
I agree. They even still could have had her related to Billy without Botox Billy Ghost. Like I mean, and when we
Yeah.
talk about like this movie and what they did with, a certain character who came back, all I can think is you brought back 2 of the most iconic ghost faces, if not the 2 most iconic ghost faces in the dumbest ways possible. Like this is how you're bringing them back to the franchise. That's just me though, because I love
Mhm.
the OG dudes. Look, when it comes to Scream 8, I think they need to it might need to be Tatum's story. And again, I didn't think that Tatum had that much to do in this, but I don't know where they're gonna go. Because like you said, Barb, it really feels like this could just be it. Like this could just be the closed chapter. And especially because the motivation this time around was so like flimsy. Like it really didn't leave a lot of things open. But when it comes to the Carpenter sisters and their erasure, I did a thing on Knight's channel, and he said something that I completely agree with. He's like, they mention New York so many times, say their names. Not once did they say Sam or Tara or mention the Carpenters. There, it's New York, New York, New York, but not a single one of the Carpenter sisters. Now, Scream 6, obviously, the way it ended, that could be a decent end for the Carpenters. Like it didn't leave it so up in the air that we felt like there was, it was unsatisfactory that that's where they left it. Like Sam dropping the mask and walking away and kind of, reaffirming that she's not going to go down that dark path. That was great, but
Oh,
there
yeah.
was definitely more. And I've always felt that Scream 6 was setting up for Scream 7 to be a massive bloodbath. I truly believe that everyone survived in Scream 6 because they were just going to kill everyone in Scream 7. So but
They might
but then we
have.
never got to see that never got to see that happen. So it's just that really annoyed me. So yeah.
Well, with the Carpenter sisters, I'll be honest and say, you know, for Tara, I wasn't a huge fan of her. In fact, in 5, I was like, God, what? And I get it. This was the writing, but she was just like so mean to Sam at the
Yeah.
hospital. Like, you just need to leave. And I'm just like, what? I get it. It's the writing, but she did that part too well.
My problem with not mentioning the Carpenter sisters, it's not necessarily, well, because Sam had a great ending, like you said, dropping the ghost face mask, walking away. That's a great hero exit. You know what I mean? She got her, the book is closed. What I didn't like is, what's the male twin? What's his name?
Chad?
Or Chad?
Chad. Super Chad.
Super Chad.
Him and Jenna Ortega's character, they were becoming a couple. You know what I mean?
You're right.
And
You're
I
right.
get it. Romances end, blah, blah, blah. That's where something should have been mentioned. You know what I mean?
100%.
Sam, whatever. She survived Ghostface. You know, everybody's fucking survived Ghostface by now. But she survived Ghostface. She didn't have to have a mention because she didn't really have a relationship, any type of relationship with anybody in this film. Jenna Ortega's character did. You know what I mean? Her and Chad were a thing. You know, she was happy he was alive. You know, when she found him with 17 stab wounds getting put into the ambulance or whatever. But they could have even just had a drop line about a breakup or him calling her on the phone, checking on her, making sure she's okay when all this is happening. Because if it happens in Woodsboro and now it's happening wherever 7 is taking place, he could at least pick up the phone just to call on her, just drop a line saying, I left a voicemail or something like that. So they could have had at least something that way connecting it.
I agree with you there. And I was just thinking about how in 6 they did manage to do that for Sidney. I mean, they did it for Sidney. So you bring up a good point there, because he could have even been on the phone or texting and have Mindy say, "Oh, is that Tara?" Just anything small. I actually really love when movies do that, when they drop just a little something that if you blink, you miss it, but maybe the second time you watch it, you catch it. But yeah, I mean, I'm all for that. It could have left the door open, for later on, because I mean, is this a forever thing now that they're not going to be back? Because I wouldn't mind seeing them back if they did it in a cool way, because they did it. I mean, honestly, they brought, Mindy and Chad back.
But these two, look, I know Eric's not a fan of these two, but I actually like the twins.
I love the twins.
That's fine.
Yeah, I've always liked the twins. And I get it. They're not for everyone. I totally understand that.
My dislike is more so for Mindy than Chad. I'll say that.
I get that. And again, I can understand that. And especially Mindy being, the stand-in Randy character. And she's a very in-your-face character, and she's a very intense character. So I get it. But I personally have always loved the twins. But I did not think they belonged in this movie. They stuck out like a couple of sore thumbs. Yeah, they had no connection. Their connection is to Tara and Sam. That's the movie they belong in. This would be like if Jill Roberts suddenly turned up in a Sarah and Tam, Scream. Like it doesn't connect, and it felt like they were in here to almost appease the fans of 5 and 6 that were annoyed that Barrera and Ortega weren't coming back, so they're like, oh, hey, look, we still have these characters, but like these two, they did nothing. They had nothing to do with anything. I'm sorry. Them and Gail coming out of nowhere and taking out a ghost face was like some Scooby-Doo scary movie bullshit, like I actually laughed out loud at that.
But Rachel, I have to tell you, the theater that I was in, the entire theater cheered. I mean, including myself. I was like, yeah.
That is okay, guys.
Because it was funny.
American cinema culture is so different to Australian cinema culture, okay? Like, you will never hear screaming or cheering or anything like that in cinemas unless you're at, like, a deliberate, like, sing-along or something like that. Cinemas are dead quiet here. The only time I've ever experienced, like, a cinema going off was when my best friend dragged me to one of the Twilight movies, and there was some scene at the end where, like, the entire audience just started cracking up. Like, that was the only time I've experienced. So, like, when I watch like American, like even the opening of Scream 2, and they're all like screaming and yelling, I'm like, what the hell is this? You're watching a movie, sit down and shut up. So it's very odd sometimes to hear about these like people cheering and everything. I'm like, wow, that doesn't happen here.
Well, I think, and I'm trying to think if this was something I was talking about for Ireland. I can't remember how this popped up, but I said they think that we're rude. I mean, I've never been there, but I've just heard that they think Americans are rude and loud and obnoxious because they're just, sitting at their table eating, and then someone's like, they're just like, "Oh my God, Americans, shut up."
We also Barb, you and me say that too. Americans just need to. My problem with Mindy and Chad, I didn't like the superhero entrance. With the car. You said it perfectly, Rachel. It's like a scary movie. It's like the end of Scary Movie when, Cindy or whatever her character is, when she's yelling and screaming, then boom, the car hits her out of nowhere. That's what that was.
Mm-hmm.
That notwithstanding, you're right. They didn't really accomplish anything, because what's the best thing they did other than trying to be comedic effect where Mindy can't get the right lines out during the credits? Mindy, in my opinion, is just so unlikable because, like you said, Rachel, she's just so in your face. She doesn't have the charisma like Jamie Kennedy kind of did in the first movie. That's the first problem. I'm not going to lie, because I'm not big on the rules. I thought the rules should have been phased out. I did laugh in the theater when she tried to do the rules and Chad basically said, "Shut up, we're not doing the rules again."
And then she did the
rules. That was great. But she's just so unlikable, and they do nothing. All Chad does is, check security camera and then tell Tatum that the water pressure in her house was perfect. That's it. And then they go drink beer and eat pizza and then disappear. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's this little banter. I've watched it that second time, and there's just this little banter with him and his sister, and I just feel like they're kind of that comedy relief in the movie. I guess you could say. I mean, because you just watched it again too, Rachel, didn't you?
Yeah,
for the second time.
I mean, on fast forward, because I couldn't
fast forward and no subtitles, right? Good Lord.
That's all I can.
Let's just go through here. Like I said, I actually do like the twins, and I totally get what you're saying. Their banter, their chemistry between the two of them, that's great. I would watch a movie just about the twins. I really like them, but they didn't feel right in this movie. In this movie, every time they turned up, for me, it was very jarring. They didn't really know anyone. I mean, really, their only close relationship is Gail. They don't even really know Sidney that well. I mean, they never really met her in number 5. She really only interacted with Sam and Tara. So the twins, to me, like I said, it was basically just them saying, look, we still have some from the previous movies. The previous movies still are here, even though the Carpenters aren't. We don't say their names. We've got the twins. And to me, I love them as characters and as their own little unit. I actually think that these two actors have pretty decent chemistry, and they play very much like siblings. Like, I think
they do.
Number 6, like Eric mentioned, when Mindy's all like, "Oh, here we go with the rules," and Chad's like, "No, man, we don't have time." That dude has heard that speech 1,000 times while Mindy's been practicing it in the mirror. He's had enough. But I think they really give off that energy really fun. But no, for me, every time they turned up on on screen in this movie, it was just like sore thumbs sticking out. It's like, what are you guys doing here? What are you even doing here? It just did not work for me.
Well, Rachel, I will say this. Another good you know how you were like, "Are you sure you want me on?" Because I feel like I've got just a lot of negative stuff to say. I did not like this movie. But I like that you're bringing up things that I hadn't thought of about, like, hey, they mentioned New York, but they didn't mention the Carpenter sisters. That's something that just went over my head. I mean, when I was at the theater, I get into this zone with these Scream movies that it's almost like right after I finished watching it, can I even remember what happened? And I'll explain that. It's because I'm just so pumped up watching it, like a kid on sugar, that I'm like, now I got to go back and watch it again because I don't remember all of it, because I was just so in the zone, but also like, does that even make sense?
Oh yeah. If you're super, super excited, your adrenaline is so pumped up, you do have a hard time focusing. So I 100%. I've done that all the time too. Going and seeing certain movies, and then I'll be driving home and I'm like, what the hell just happened? You know what I mean? You get that blank slate in your head, and then maybe you have to go on like I'll go on Wikipedia just to see what I missed, or I'll go on YouTube to see certain people say what they have to say that I know are not connected to the franchise, so they don't have to be positive or negative. I'd be like, all right, I missed that. I missed this. Oh, wow, that was funny. You know, I remember laughing at that, but I totally, lost thought of it, like on the drive home or something like that.
Well, now, so I have a question for you. The question that's on the screen. Do you think they are phasing out Gail? I mean, because it kind of looked like she was handing them the torch, so to speak, like, hey, you guys are up.
I'm sorry, but this is one of the issues I have with this film. Okay, third act comes along. Sydney runs off to save the day. Where did Gail go? Is she just sitting on her hands at the police station? I'm supposed to believe that Gail Weathers just sat out the final confrontation and is just, I don't know, chilling down at the TV station talking to, the guy from Riverdale. It just didn't make any sense to me.
I think, and I get exactly where, because I had seen some people online were asking that same question. And I feel like they showed us that she was having that moment with needing to take a pill and just she wasn't doing well. So I guess I assumed that she was just taking a moment. Maybe the bad timing to take a moment since hello, here's some action happening. But
I took it as what else was there for her to do?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? She mean, no offense to Tatum, it's not her daughter. She's fought this fight 200 times already. You know what I mean? She's lost Dewey. She's lost the boy toy from a couple movies ago, or the previous movie, whatever. She's got her PTSD. Some people don't want to save the day anymore. So that's how I looked at it. And also, I didn't mind. Hold on 1 second. I didn't mind.
No, sorry.
Because I grew to dislike Gail. You know what I mean? Because
really?
Well, here's the reason why. You know why? You know me. I hated Dewey. Hated Dewey from 1 all the way up until 5.
Wow.
Well, I hate bumbling cops. I hate bumbling cops.
Okay,
this guy was the worst cop.
Fair.
There's no way he would have graduated the police academy. Not even the Steve Guttenberg police academy he would have graduated. He's that bad. That's why there's Doofy in the scary movies. I loved him in 5. And me and Barb did a deep dive on him in 5 because he had that hero's death. You know what I mean? He wasn't the goofy guy anymore. He was tortured, his PTSD, and he got his hero moment. That's why I liked him. The problem is once he's taken out of the picture, that movie ends. I'm going to write a book about Dewey and all that bullshit that never happened. Gail wrote a book to make money. And that's when I'm like, I don't like her again. Like, I understand you're not supposed to like her in the first one. You kind of like her in the second one. She's okay in the third, I guess. I didn't like her in 6 because of the attitude change, and I could give 2 shits about her in this one because I had already disliked her previously. That's the same thing with Mindy. Your friends have just been fucking butchered, and you're more pissed that you missed the killer's monologue than anything. Stop it, okay? That's why I didn't really care about her. So if they phase out Gail, that's fine. She doesn't need to be killed on screen, but I hope we don't go with both of the twins. Keep Super Chad. That's fine. Have Mindy being like the driver of the truck. Like she can't get her lines out anymore, so she's not allowed on camera type of thing. And now she's got to be like Chad's gopher or something like that. She's getting the coffee, and that's where the sibling rivalry comes in. That would be fine, but I don't want her as like a main character in the next one.
I wouldn't even mind if they pulled something like Scream 3 where, Scream 3 just had this lighthearted fun about it with Parker Posey.
Mm-hmm.
If they did something like that for maybe it's not even for 8, maybe that's for 9 or something. I would be okay with that. I loved 3.
Mm-hmm.
I loved 3 along with Rachel, but I think it is because it was kind of a horror comedy. It was more leaning into comedy of it, right, Rachel? Is that your reason too?
Yeah, definitely. Well, my thing with 3 is I always look at the time it was made, which was right after Columbine, and they were scaling back violence in movies. So we know that there is a reason that Scream 3 is much stupider and sillier than the others. And for me, it was kind of like, I felt that they kind of went, okay, we can't do, the serious slasher that we did in numbers 1 and 2. Let's just have fun with it. And so for me, because they're just kind of having fun with it and not taking it too seriously, it really works. And I quite like Gale in 3. I think, because they didn't have Nev for that long, Gale kind of gets to be, the main character, and she's doing all the investigating. And I love Parker Posey no matter what she's in. So like, she's fantastic. I love her. I had a feeling Eric was not going to like Jennifer Jolie.
What is that
but
famous line? I may not agree with what you say, but I'll defend your right to say it. We'll leave it at that, Rachel.
fair enough. Fair enough. Thank you, Eric. But I gotta say, listening to like Eric talk about Gail here and you, again, this for me is just emphasizing that we are done with these characters. You know, like we've extended them for as far as they can go, and now they're just kind of floating around with nothing to do. I'm still pissed that they didn't kill Gail in number 6 because that scene, her fight scene, I really thought, okay, this is it. They killed Dewey last movie. Now we're going to lose Gail. Like we're going to be losing the legacies one by one. And then the disappointment I felt when they were like, oh, we have a pulse. I was like, why do we have a pulse? Because I just thought this is the best place to kill her because she really doesn't have much to do. Like Eric's right, you know, at the end of number 5, she's all like, I'm going to go write this book about Dewey. And I can kind of understand why she didn't because Gail is a very hard character. She'd rather bite off her own tongue than admit that she's got feelings. So I can
Right.
kind of understand her maybe shying away from writing that sort of in-depth, you know, profile on someone that she loved. But it does unfortunately show that she just is not going to change now. She's just going to keep being Gail Weathers. And similarly to Eric, I think I'm getting a bit fatigued with her because, like, I love Courtney, and I thought that Gail. I mean, in the first one, she's obviously supposed to be the character you love to hate. You know,
Right.
like deliberately antagonistic. And then we get to see her grow a little bit and a little bit until she gets to a place where she can marry Dewey and they can be together. But then ever since number 4, yeah, she's just been going down, down, down. And now again, it's like she just doesn't have anything to do. Like just let her go away and live a nice little life. She's got like Eric said, she's got like the pills she's taking, she's got the nerve damage now. Just let her sit this out. It just feels like we're bringing these characters back and back. It's kind of like Eric was saying about, again, I love Laurie Strode, but we don't need to keep bringing her
Correct.
back. You know, one movie every 20 years is fine. And again, Sidney Prescott is my favorite final girl, but I always say I will always prefer quality over quantity. So I would always prefer 1 or 2 freaking fantastic movies with this character
Mhm.
as opposed to movies that keep stretching her out. And I feel at this point, she and Gail, they're definitely starting to just feel very thin and very like, what are we doing? What are these characters? Again, Gail has no arc in this movie. She's got no motivation. She's got nothing except to show up because that's what she does. She's Gail Weathers and she shows up in the Scream films, and that's pretty much the only reason she's here. So Courtney, again, she's fine. She's solid. You know, she obviously knows this character inside out, having played her for 30 years. But there's nothing new for her to do at this point. And that's how I'm feeling. You know, it's just feeling like we're reaching the end of the rope. And if they both come back in Scream 8, I don't know what they're going to do. One of them has to die. Like it's just getting to the point where one of you has to die now.
Now,
Well,
see, here's
to piggyback off of what you said about they should have killed her in 6. Now, I'm going to say this right now. I would never
Mhm.
say, I hope they kill this legacy. I would never say that at the beginning of the movie, right? But once we got to
No.
that point, okay, let's rewind to what Eric said. That impact that Dewey had in 5.
Mhm.
Did people want to see him die? No. But oh my God, did it pull on my heartstrings? And it made such an impactful 5th installment that don't you think that 6, her fighting for her life, I mean, she fought the crap out of that guy.
Here's the
That
thing.
is true.
Here's the thing. To piggyback on that, you know what I mean? Look at how much negativity came from killing Dewey from the hardcore fans. Oh, that's the worst movie
True.
ever. Why? Because they killed Dewey.
Ugh.
What else? Because they killed Dewey. No, what else about Scream 5 did you not like? They killed Dewey. If they
Yeah.
killed Dewey in 8, or excuse me, if they killed Gale in 8, they might shoot themselves in the foot and have the same situation.
Yeah.
Sit down,
True.
get like I told you, Barb, online and offline, get past the fact that you love Dewey for some reason. I
Right.
get it. He's the lovable oaf. People love him. That's fine. If he wasn't a cop, that I would be okay with it. I think that's what it is.
Fair enough.
That's I just don't like
Yeah.
the bumbling cops. If you can get past the fact that one of the characters you love died, break that movie down. It's really, really good in a lot of parts. And sometimes it just takes one thing to piss a person off and ruin a movie. If you get
Yeah.
the same person in that theater that hated the fact that they killed Dewey and now they're killing Gale, whether it's the opening scene like what happened with Cotton, that's the only scene I like in Scream 3. That opening with Cotton in Scream 3 is great. If you get a scene like that with Gale, it's gonna be worse, I think, because we become more attached to Gale because she's been in more entries. Like they
Right.
were promoting Courtney Cox as the only one who's been in every single film.
They did do
she's
that.
now she's gone. Think of that backlash. So do they want to take that chance? Because like we've said with the Scream, being me as a YouTuber in the horror community, the two biggest franchises is Scream and Halloween when it comes to the
Halloween.
fans. When it comes to the fans and what they will let slide and what they won't let slide. If they kill Gale, they won't let that slide. And that negativity, that anthill will be like 2 miles high. I guarantee you. Now, granted, they'll still be there for Scream 9. I don't care what they say. But at the moment, they might shoot themselves in the foot if they do that. I think it would be better if they just got rid of her.
Yeah, well, they missed their opportunity. Like Rachel was saying, they had that perfect opportunity in 6 because it's like, oh, does she have a heartbeat? They could have made it to where, since they knew obviously at some point, like, okay, Nev's coming back for 7, they could have made it Nev's coming back for 7 because it's the funeral of Gale Weathers. I mean, they really could have done that. We should have written this. That's it.
Now, what am I doing here? I'm going to go write Scream 8. First off, the opening scene, the twins are taken out. Yes.
Barb and I wrote Scream 7 before we knew whether or not Stu were coming back. Barb and I were like, okay, Stu is coming back to avenge his lover Billy, and we had decided that was going to be the motivation, and that instead of having a creepy, Sidney shrine, he was going to have a Billy shrine. We were so on board with that, man. And then nothing.
Nothing. No one can write it better than Rachel and I can write it. I'm just saying.
I'm sure there's plenty of Billy and Stu fan fiction out there, so don't give up. You still have still have a chance.
No, Eric, I'm with you. I've never been on the Stu train because for me personally, the Scream movies are not like that. Ghostface isn't Michael Myers. He doesn't just keep going. Ghostface dies and you get a new one. And I keep thinking the longer they wait to bring him back, if they're ever going to bring him back, the less likely it becomes that he's been out there the whole time. Because, if they brought him back in number 2 or 3, fine. It's only been 2 or 3 years. They bring him back now. It's like, where has he been for 30 years? What has he been doing? Been chilling out in some little bat cave making his plans? I don't think so.
Yeah, it's we'll get to that because that's one of the main things that pissed off a lot of fans. We'll get that, but I've never been on the Stu train. Mostly believability, like a lot, like with Barb, with your situation. Somebody says this movie is based in realism, or we don't need fucking zombies or any of that bullshit. I get it. This is air quotes more based in realism than a Friday the 13th movie. I get it. But again, 30 years later, they did okay. Like, okay, the burial report and the autopsy, it's missing. Okay, somebody stole it. We get it. It's easy. Put 2 and 2 together. But again, I think enough time has passed to I don't care. I don't care. And I was never a fan of Stu to begin with. You know me, Barb, I can't stand Matthew Lillard in that movie. And even he said that he should have toned it down a little bit.
Dropping so many hot takes.
This ain't hot take. I've been saying it for years. I hate him. And then every time he sticks out that fucking cow's tongue, I just want to rip it off and slap him with it. I'm like, why are these people hanging out with him? Why is Tatum dating him? He's obnoxious. He's an asshole because he's laughing at Sidney being chased by those jerks down the hall, that opening scene. And all Tatum does is hit him with a sucker. No, she says, you're a jerk. She should have said, you're a jerk who apologized, but she doesn't care. That notwithstanding, I don't, again, maybe it's also because I don't understand the love of Stu. Is it just because people love Matthew Lillard so much? And I do like Matthew Lillard as a person. The stuff he does with children. I like a lot of him in the Scooby-Doo movies. My daughter and I, we see the Five Nights at Freddy's movies together. He's fun in that. I love him in Serial Mom, but I don't get why people love Stu. I hate him. So I'm going to ask you two women, why do you love Stu so much? Because I don't get it.
I will answer this.
You go first.
And I want to say, Patrick, if you're in the chat, now you know why Eric wanted to talk about this, why he was okay to talk about this. He's not a sellout. He just wanted to air his grievances.
No, am I a sellout? You ain't paying me to be here.
Right? I'll pay you with pudding.
Yeah, ship it over.
Butterscotch.
That's right.
So the reason why I liked Stu was because he was such a goofball. He was polar opposite from Billy. It's like
Okay.
you just had this this cool contrast because Billy was very just kind of stoic, really. He didn't really joke. You never really saw him joking around. If you think about it, he didn't really joke around.
Right.
But Stu did. He was just like that goofball friend that everybody has a goofball friend in their group.
Right.
And in this one, it was him, but also Randy. I mean, Randy was fun too. I didn't have an appreciation for Randy though until the second one. I was like, "Dang, Randy, you had a glow up."
Didn't he? Randy definitely had a glow up. You see him in number
Yeah.
2 and you're like, hello, Randy. Where have you been hiding those arms,
How
good
you
sir?
doing?
But look, the Stu thing. Okay, so this might not work for you, Eric, because you just said that you're not really the biggest Matthew Lillard fan. But for me, the character of Stu could only be played by Matthew Lillard. He
Okay.
has that chaotic energy that you need an actor like Matthew who that's just kind of his natural energy. So, like in the hands of another actor, I think Stu could be really annoying. Like I kind of get that vibe with like Amber in number 5. Like she's trying to give the crazy Stu vibe, but for me, it doesn't work the same way because she doesn't have that naturalness. And like Barb says, I think it's an off play of Billy because Billy is so intense. You spend, at least I remember when I first watched Scream, I spent the entire movie just flipping back and forth, going, yeah, it's Billy. No, that's too obvious. No, it's definitely him because he's so evil. No, but that's just way too obvious. Whereas I never noticed Stu. So when Stu comes out at the end and he's like, surprise, Sidney, it's just such a wham moment. And I think that he and Skeet in particular in that final scene, their energy is so chaotic and so much fun. And I just love little things like oh, you hit me with the phone, you dick, or, Billy, I'm dying here, man. I think you cut me too hard. It just, for me, he brings this kind of comedic edge to the movie without it going too far into like Scream 3 territory where it's like slapstick. So for me, it's a combination of like Matthew Lillard was just the perfect actor to play that role. And like Barb said, I think we all knew like a Stu, that kind of goofball that doesn't take anything seriously, but that's just kind of what they're like. I mean, I agree. He's definitely a dickhead. And, sometimes you do kind of wonder, Tatum, girl, like you could definitely do better. But like I said, I think we've all known a Stu, and there's just some parts of just the way that Matthew delivers his lines that just fill me with delight. Like when the school's out and he's all like, "Skizoo is Izu is out." I don't know what it is about it, just the way he comes out saying it. It just gives me this delight that I love. So that's the best way I can explain why I love Stu. And it's definitely, the partnership with Billy. Those two to me are so iconic because, I mean, they're so chaotic in those final 15 minutes. I just love watching them flailing around. And it's like, it really emphasizes that we're dealing with teenagers. We're not dealing with adults with fully formed brains that can plan everything out. Because every time I watch the final scene, I'm like, why are you stabbing each other before you kill Sidney? You kill Sidney first, then you stab each other, and then you call 911, but they do it all backwards. And it's like, this is why you're all dead now. So yeah, that's why Stu works for me.
Okay. Yeah. And Barb knows me. We talk a lot off screen. If you love something that I don't, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not here to rain on your parade. Sometimes I just don't understand the situation.
I get it. I understand.
And I always say movies and characters are like taste buds. What's sweet to you is bitter to me. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? So, okay. I could just never get my head behind like, why are so people not just they like this character, they love it. Like, not even take the whole him being in 7 or not being in 7 or whatever you want to say it out of the picture. They've always gravitated towards his character. I've just never understood it. Now I get the whole odd couple thing with him and Billy. I could see that, but I'm just like, I really wish Wes would have been like, Matthew, you're at an 11, tone it down a little to like a 7.5 or an 8. You know what I mean? But that's just me. Maybe I'm just, again, I'm your favorite curmudgeon, Barb. Maybe I'm just grumpier in my old age and harder to please when it comes to, those meddling kids or whatever it is. So
just damn meddling teens.
Yeah.
When I asked Rachel for talking points, because I wanted to find out what she, and when we did talk about one, and she said, Sidney's story's done, and the Carpenter sisters, and we haven't gotten to her third one yet, which is coming. But I wanted to ask, you didn't mention anything about the kills, Rachel. Were you fine with what they did? Because I know some people were saying, that's a little over the top, a little over gory. I didn't need it to be like a Terrifier. What were your thoughts?
it went into that for me. Okay, again, I hate I hate being so negative about a Scream film because freaking
It's
hell, I love
okay.
the Scream franchise so much, but it just didn't work for me. Okay, I literally did not remember a single kill from this movie except for the one you're showing right now. And the only reason I remembered that kill is because once again, I was laughing during it. I was like, why are we doing some
Oh,
scary movie hanging from like I get what they were trying to do. I understand they were trying to show like, oh my God, the horror of this girl trapped in this harness and she can't get out. But to me, it just looks so stupid. She's just flailing around while Ghostface is like, trying to slash at her. And I just kept laughing. I turned to Steven, my husband, and I was like, am I supposed to be laughing? Are we watching? Did we walk into the wrong cinema? Are we watching a scary movie? So yeah, the kills for me, they did not stand out. And we are reaching Chad levels of survival again. How did Sydney's husband survive just
oh,
lying in a garage for like 4 hours bleeding out?
I
Whatever.
was
So yeah, the
shocked
kills
about
for
that
me.
one. He
Sorry,
didn't
yeah,
need
that one was.
he
Mhm.
didn't need to live. I mean, he didn't need to. That sounds really mean. If someone just walked into
No, I
this
know what you mean,
hearing
though.
me say
Oh,
this,
I'm getting a soundbite right now, and I'm gonna put it out there.
he didn't need to live.
Ah,
So
let's
mean.
see. The kills here for me, I don't know if I'd go that far, like saying scary movie territory. But I'll jump on what you say, like over the top, like Terrifier stuff. I don't think it's anything worse than we got in the first movie. You literally have Drew Barrymore's boyfriend gutted and sitting there for all to
Mhm.
see. She is stabbed how like her death. What's her name? Casey, right?
Yep.
Casey
Casey
Becker. Okay,
Becker.
she's just stabbed brutally. I don't know, 5, 6 times, whatever. But the way it's filmed, the way it's shot, it's very hard to watch. And then you see her
Mhm.
body hung from a tree. That's just as brutal, I think, than any of the kills we've gotten here. And you've kind of got to be creative, I think, in the Scream franchise, or else the kills are just stabby, stabby. You know what I mean? So now I'll give you this. I don't like the kill in the bar where he's put on the bar tap and the blood comes. I
That
didn't need
one,
that.
right,
That
yeah.
that was a little too
Mm.
over the top for me. But
Can
I
we
liked
talk about how mean that was?
I like this one where she's floating through the air on the strings. That was fine. I mean, again, that was to me no more brutal than Casey and her boyfriends in the very beginning, because you see guts in the first one, you see guts here. So, but that's just me. The beer tap one when I'm like, okay, that's a little too much for a Scream movie, air quotes, if that
Well,
makes sense.
Eric, you know what was so mean about that? Was because he originally dragged that guy, that weird kid, over to Chloe. I don't remember what the weird kid's name was. What was his name? Do you
I
guys
don't know.
remember?
They just kept
No,
calling
I
him
can't
Weird
remember any
Kid.
of their names.
Yeah,
Okay,
they
so
just kept calling
weird,
him Weird Kid.
the weird kid gets dragged over to Chloe, and he's just kind of, laying there where he can see her. And then I'm thinking like, oh, he's doing that. The Ghostface is doing that so that they can just die together.
Mm-hmm.
Nope, nope, I'm not done with that guy yet. And then he
Yeah.
totally beer taps him. I'm like,
Yeah.
what? That is so mean.
It's a waste of perfectly good beer. You could have
Ah,
just seriously. And those
So
things are a bitch to clean up when it's just alcohol in them, man.
well, and the second time that I
Aussie
watched,
to say that is
oh, you
that
go
is
ahead.
something an Australian would say, Eric. And Aussie would be watching that just going, oh man, waste a good beer, mate. No good.
Good stuff. In the beginning, there are things that I missed,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna not. I will fully admit this. I don't normally talk through a movie too much, but the person that was with me, she was excited to see this too.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know that I leaned over and said a few things to her. Like at one point I said, it's the cult. It's the cult of Stu. Because I really thought it was going to be the cult of Stu at some point in the movie. No, I literally said that. It's cult of Stu. And she was like, maybe. And it was that kind of thing. But I think I missed some things, and I feel bad because I think she probably missed some things. I mean, that's what rewatchers are for, right? So in the rewatch, in the very beginning, that guy and the girl that were at the Stu Macher house,
Mm-hmm.
she says, and I missed this the first time, but she says, oh, that would be awful to die by being in a fire.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, that's so mean.
Yeah.
It was like the mean kills in this, and I didn't
Yeah.
realize until
And
like
then
the
how did
second
she
watch
die?
of it.
How did she die? She
By
gets set on fire.
fire.
Yeah.
I
So
was like, oh, that
There is
poor
something-
girl.
There's
Sorry.
something else that bothers me about the kills, and I've got to get a bit into spoilers here. So
Oh,
yeah,
spoilers
just
are gonna
letting you guys
happen.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not just that the kills for me weren't memorable, it's that within the context of the movie, they didn't make any sense to me. Okay. So like if you look at all the kills and why the killers are going after specific people in each of the movie, you know why they're going after certain people. So in the beginning, they kill Casey and Steve because Casey was dating Stu and they wanted to unnerve Sidney the next day with the empty chair. They're going after, her friends because she's the central one. In number 2, they're killing the people who match the names. In number 3, they're killing the cast members. Even in number 6, when we have the collateral damage, that makes sense because we're in New York City and there's going to be bystanders. This one, it's like, okay, so your motivation is that you're mad that Sidney wasn't in New York City. So your solution is you're going to kill a bunch of random teenagers that have nothing to do with her and 2 random people saying it was Stu Mucker house. And then you're going to burn the house down because this has anything to do with anything. Like, if you're
Oh,
mad that she wasn't in New York, why wouldn't you go and kill the Carpenters? Okay, what's your explanation, Bob?
I have an explanation for that burning. Well,
Mhm.
it's not gonna probably make a whole lot of sense, but here again, it was the writers trying to get people in seats thinking that has to be Stu. That has to be Stu that burned down Stu's house.
Ah, but
And I'm
see,
Well,
that's
sorry to
inorganic
say,
writing.
well, he
Yeah.
also they also burned down Stu's house, so there could be a lot of attention in Woodsboro, and Sydney wouldn't have as much protection in where she lives because
Okay.
as her daughter was, I don't know if she was at acting class or whatever at the bar, but there's that scene where Joel McHale gets the call from Sydney, and his deputy says, the Woodsboro police just called, and he gets interrupted. So they did it to get the attention in Woodsboro, so Sydney is fresh meat. That's how I took it.
okay, but in the
Okay, no, I like
marketing,
that. That
Well,
is a good explanation
there's
because
the
otherwise,
market, there's the marketing, and then there's the finished product.
mm,
You can't judge on marketing. Here's the thing. This is a horror channel. I'll fucking pull from the Marvel universe. How many times have there been fake images and things in a Marvel trailer that aren't in the movie to get people in there? They also do that
yeah.
to
yeah,
sell tickets or to throw you off your game and predict what's going to happen.
that's
Mm.
true.
That's
I
my
have seen
take,
that.
but
Yeah. No,
that's why I think the house was set on fire, is to get all the focus initially on Woodsboro. And even Gail says it, the fire in Woodsboro, my Sydney sense tingled or whatever when she drove in. So I think that's why they set it on fire.
oh, you're right, because she said everyone
Yeah.
else went there. I should have been there, but I'm here.
Yep.
That's true.
Mm.
Now
Yeah,
you might not like the explanation, but I think that's what it is.
No. I do. Eric, anytime someone can give me an explanation for something that's pissing me off in a movie, no matter how thin or whatever it is, I will take it. Because that way, the next time I watch the movie, I don't have to sit there going, why the fuck is this happening? So
All
thank
right,
you
my
for
work
that.
here is done. I'll see you later.
But yeah,
Mhm.
I don't know. For me, like, it didn't come together well. And, that is my third point, is that I really thought the reveal was just awful and so badly done.
can I talk about that panic room
But
first,
yeah.
though? I
Oh
was
my God, the panic room.
okay.
Let's panic and get in the room, and then let's panic and leave the room 2 seconds later.
That was the part out of all the things, it's so random that would be the thing that pissed me off, but the panic room, like, you have this cool panic room in your house, and you're in there for 3 seconds. Why
Waste
would
of
you
money.
do that?
Waste of money. That's how I looked at it. Waste
I
of fucking
know.
money. You don't even use the thing.
They
You
could
know
have
what I mean?
just
Exactly.
stayed in there for a little bit longer and
Yeah.
have Ghostface trying to, like, okay, how can I get in there by them? And have
Yeah.
him do a little work. Don't make it
Mhm.
easy for him.
Yeah.
You know?
What if you do the scene the reverse? Like, maybe they can't get to the panic room the normal way, which is, through the wardrobe because Ghostface is there. So they have to get to it through the house. We're going to the panic room, not out of the panic room. That I
Mhm.
remember Steven and I, again, we were sitting in the cinema, we went in the panic room, we were like, oh good, panic room, cool. And then 2 seconds later, we're like, what the hell, girl? What are
Right?
we doing? Why are we leaving the nice steel panic room? It's so bad.
After having seen the movie Panic Room with Jodie Foster, I was
Mhm.
excited that they were gonna, like,
Yeah.
introduce that
Right?
kind of
Right?
angle.
Yeah.
That kind of element. Uh-huh.
They
The
should have
second
moved.
time
They
I
should have
watched
moved.
it, I was
They
mad
should've-
all over again.
They should have moved the panic room scene later on, like maybe not the finale, but later on in the movie, because the way they did it, if they would have stayed in the panic room, the movie's what, 40 minutes long? You know what I mean? So I get it, but there was really no point of it because, like you said, the point of a panic room is to stay there until help arrives. You know what I mean? And if she is protecting her daughter, stay in the panic room with your daughter. That's your main focus. And we didn't get that.
Oh yeah,
So
and I will
I
say
get that.
this scene, like this first clip, you know, to the far left here of her trying to avoid the knife while they were going through that wall. I will say that was pretty intense though. Like
Yeah,
my
I like
toes
that scene a
curled.
lot.
Will admit that was one of the few scenes that I liked, and that was one of the few scenes where I felt the tension. You know, this is one of the few scenes where I'm like, oh, this okay, I actually feel the danger here. I'm actually feeling tense, but I was still caught up on the this is so stupid. We could have just avoided this if we had just stayed in the steel panic room, you know? Come on. And again, this kind of again, this works for this whole like Sydney story is done. It's like, because yeah, at this point, of course, she's going to have a panic room. Of course, she's going to have somewhere where
Right.
she can just go and wait quietly. But like Eric said, if we did that, the movie would be over in 40 minutes and we wouldn't have any excitement. So we then need to find a way to put her back in danger. And we do it in the dumbest way possible by having her choose to leave the panic room. So again, I just feel like everything we're talking just it really shows how thin this script was and how they really did not put a lot of thought in. And I know it was rushed. I know there were all issues, but other Scream scripts have been rushed too. Scream 2 was written in under a year, and that is hailed as one of the best sequels in the franchise, you know? So
Yeah.
a rushed timing doesn't always excuse bad crap like this.
And I feel like for Rachel, since Rachel is like, I loved 1 through 6, and now I can't say that I love them all. Now, I just found a good reason for you to have this on DVD. Do you collect physical media? I don't remember.
Oh, yes, I do.
So
Yes.
if you're a completionist like Eric, you'll probably also get 7, right?
Bob,
But
I own the Rob Zombie Halloweens and Halloween Ends, okay? I am a collector. I will collect even if I hate it, I will buy it. So yes, I will be buying Scream 7.
I have
Scream
Halloween
7
5 on DVD. It's okay.
Yeah, I was
There
gonna
you
say,
go.
yeah, there's certain movies that Eric has in his collection that I'm just like,
Yep.
why would you get
Mhm.
that one?
I have
But
Halloween 2018, and I can't stand that one. So
Aw.
Oh, wah, wah, wah. So
Yeah.
sad. I remember that Rachel and I did isn't that the one we did?
you did Kills.
2018?
Kills. We did
Oh,
Kills.
we did
And we had a
Kills.
lot
You did the
of
good.
fun with
You
that
did the good one.
Mhm.
Yeah, I loved Kills.
So you
But-
like Kills, Eric?
Yeah, it's fun. That's what
It
I'm
is
looking
fun.
for.
It
It's
is,
fun. It's like the
Thank you.
it's like
Yes,
the
it's
20th fucking movie in the franchise. I just want fun by now. You know what I mean? We've seen
that's
everything
excellent.
else. Just if you call it Kills, just have them kill people. I don't care. You know what I
Do
mean?
you
That's
think
all.
you're-
That's all we really go to. You know, we don't go to a Halloween movie for the story. Granted, we go to Scream movies mainly for the murder mystery aspect.
Right.
We don't give a shit about what happens in Halloween. We want to see Michael kill some people
No.
and then the girl survive at the end. That's it. You know what I mean? That's what we got. Kills is literally in the title. What do you want? You know what I mean? It's like going to a Godzilla movie and getting pissed when he steps on the building. You know? That's what it is.
Eric, do you know how many movies you have?
Shark movies?
Specifically
Patrick?
asking shark movies.
I didn't even
I
see the
have
shark yet.
Jaws. I have Jaws, and I
Yeah, I feel like
think
he's
that might
asking
be
shark
it.
movies.
Yeah, there's a little shark
got
emoji. It's
Jaws.
Patrick.
I have the Meg and the Meg 2 because I freaking love the Meg.
Meg
I
was
think I
good.
have Deep Blue Sea. I can't remember, but yeah, no shark movies. We'll talk shark movies one day. I love shark
We
movies.
should talk shark movies this summer. It's such a cool summer thing to discuss. Yeah, because I mean,
It'll be winter for me, but
Oh yeah. Well, okay.
I love
Now,
being on the other side of the world. It's fun. Anywho, we should get back on topic.
what? I lost track of what I was talking about before.
Panic
Sorry,
Room,
Bob.
physical
We got off on a
media.
tangent.
Physical media. Oh yeah. Okay. So Scream 7 on physical media. So when you go back and maybe a year from now, when you decide to go back, you can just like have fun of it. Like make fun of it with your husband.
Mhm.
And I'm going to say
Definitely.
this. So at some point when Frank and I, my husband and I, we were watching Sons of Anarchy, and at some point in the seasons, we realized this TV show is ridiculous. You look at him with his stupid little white tennis shoes on, and because Jax acts so immature in a lot of the seasons.
He's not intimidating. He sucks.
Not.
Who's going to be scared of him?
It's
You're
so
gonna be
Frank
scared of
and I
Happy or Chibs or all those people. You ain't gonna
right.
be scared of him with his
So
pretty
Frank
blonde hair and his 5 o'clock shadow. Stop it.
exactly. So Frank would go, "Oh, shut up, you and your stupid little tennis shoes."
Yeah. See?
So I was just thinking, like, Rachel, you and your husband could just make fun of it, and then it's
Mhm.
worth it. It's worth
Yeah.
being in your collection.
And we do. And it will be, like sometimes it's really odd, but sometimes I'll have movies that are in my collection that I bought because I collect them. But every so often I'll pull them off the screen. I'll be like, who wants to do a hate watch with me? And
Right?
hate watches can be so much fun, Can you just sit
Yes.
there and you bitch and you nitpick and you everything? This is why, like, coming into this, I was like, oh, it'd be so good if both Barb and Eric hated this movie because then we could just sit here and bitch about it. Because, like, when you're all in the same mind frame. But no, definitely I will watch this again. I mean, my husband and I, we've watched some really bad movies together, especially horror movies,
Mhm.
because the horror genre, bless its little heart, it has some extreme highs and some extreme lows. So I
Mhm.
will definitely end up hate watching this. And
Yes.
look, maybe with more watches, it'll grow on me. It
I think
is
it
still a
will.
Scream film. This is my favorite horror franchise. So, maybe the nostalgia or something will work and will creep its way into my blackened heart. But we'll see what
Rachel,
happens in the future.
you
Yeah.
being a big Scream head, Rachel, do you think you were overhyped for it and that's why you're so disappointed?
No, it was actually the opposite, Eric. I went into this film with the lowest of low expectations. Like I
Oh,
went
okay.
into it, Stephen and I, in as we were walking into the cinema, I was like, "Oh, babe, this is going to be bad. This is going to be really bad." And then we walked out. I was like, "Yeah, babe, that was really bad. That was really, really bad."
Oh, okay.
So
Fair
no,
enough.
Well, do you feel like you're alone? I feel like we're having a good time, regardless of
I feel like we're having a great time.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm having a
I don't
blast.
like. I remember when I was younger, like, okay, like if I'd be talking to a friend and I really love something and they'd really hate it and they'd start pooping all over it, and I'd be like, oh, so I didn't want to do that to you guys. I didn't want to come in here and like Barb like really likes this movie. I didn't want to come in here and be like, oh, it's so bad, and like make her feel bad for the fact that
Well,
she liked it and I didn't. I'm glad that you're enjoying it.
yeah, like I feel I've always felt like you have really good points, and Eric does too. And I thought we're gonna meet
Thank
somewhere
you.
in the middle because with me being yay and you being nay, and then him being like,
Eh,
eh.
yeah.
So
Well,
the
that's
next
what we
step,
always say. That's what we always say, Rachel. With me and Barb, we don't. If you hate something we love, as long as the conversation's civil, say it. That's what I
Mhm.
mean. You know what I mean? You have these fake
Cool.
rants and people that come off insulting. Nah, say what you want to say. You know what I mean? But just
Yeah.
we always say, what's our term? Is just don't be a dick. You know what
oh
I mean? That's
yeah,
what we always tell
That's the
people. I
thing. I
said,
would never insult you guys. Like, I'll insult the movie to hell and back, but I'll never
right,
come after you guys
but
or
you know what I
anyone for
mean. You know
having
what
an
I mean.
opinion
Yeah,
that is
you got an
different to
opinion,
mine.
say it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it would be
exactly.
funny, like a year, 2 years from now, to like look back on this episode and just see like how our thoughts have changed. Like, do I still love it? Do you still hate
Mm,
it? You know, what
yeah.
what are Eric's thoughts 2 years from
It's
now?
fine. Yeah, it's
It's
fine.
okay.
It's fine.
Eric will be on the same page.
Yeah, it's fine. I own it. I own it. I never watch it, but it's fine.
So I'm gonna say my thoughts about the
Mhm.
AI, and then
Okay.
I'm gonna check with you
Okay.
guys and see what your thoughts are. So I feel like AI is so prominent right now. It's so prominent that people are pissy about it because they say it's like the memes that we see where it shows Sarah Connor smoking a cigarette and it says, "This is Sarah Connor, like, judging you for using AI."
Mhm.
Mhm. Yep.
You know, so everyone is using it. I mean, I've used Chat GPT for stuff, asking a question to try to help me find something quicker on the internet. I've used it for that. I've used it to polish something that I want to say. It's just it's there, and I try not to use it for things like if I know that I can get an artist to help me with something, I will always pick the artist.
Mhm.
If
Mhm.
it's something that's literally a throwaway thing, like okay, so Eric will use it for his thumbnails
Mhm.
for
Yes.
YouTube.
Yeah.
It's literally he's using it once, it's a throwaway thumbnail, that's it.
Yeah.
I don't have any problem with that. Um, but someone that's
iNet
using
is coming for you.
uh,
Sorry.
but yeah, so AI, I guess my opinion on this is Scream has always tried to take something that's very relevant. So in the
Mhm.
90s, when we saw the very first one with Gail Weathers as this, top reporter, what the heck? tabloid reporter. That
Tabloid.
was very relevant in the 90s. Okay. So now them using AI, I'm like, they couldn't have thought of a better thing because it's AI, and they managed to do two things at once. They gave us AI, which is relevant in now, and they gave the fans Stu. Whether he's alive, not alive, he's on the screen. They brought Matthew Lillard back to play Stu in some fashion. So my thought on that was, I think that's why I was so excited about it, was I'm very much like, okay, Scream 8, he may be alive, he may not be alive, but damn, we got him back. And he was funny. And they made him like with the whole, okay, goodbye, and he'd like stick his finger out to like touch the thing. I thought that was freaking hilarious. Like I was laughing in the theater. And I think it was intentional to be kind of cheesy like that. All right, now what do you think?
Who do you want to go for? You want to go first, Rachel, or would you like me? It's up to you.
Okay, I'll go first because
Okay.
my reaction is pretty much the complete opposite to Bob.
I know it is.
I hate AI in general. Like I said, anytime someone brings up AI with me, I'm like, Skynet is coming for you fuckers. So, you know, you play with that how you will and just see what happens in 10 years' time when Sarah Connor needs to come save us all. So personally, I hate AI and I will not use it. I even have blocks on my computer so that I don't get those stupid AI like questions when you go to Google. I don't get the AI review because I'm like, screw this. Matthew Lillard coming back, when they announced that he was going to come back, and when they announced that Scott Foley was coming back, I was like, oh, we're going to get Maureen Prescott flashback scene. We're going to get like lore, and it's going to be deep, and it's going to add to it. And instead, like I said earlier, you brought back who I personally find to be the two most iconic Ghostface villains, and you brought them back in the dumbest way possible. Now, Matthew is good, okay? Like seeing him on screen, definitely Stu, you know, like it didn't feel like he was putting anything on. It felt like he slipped straight back into this character. But the phone calls didn't work for me. They were so goofy. I'm sorry. They were so, I know, Bob, you said they were supposed to be deliberately stupid, but again, like deliberate or not, it wasn't working for me. I hated that because we got all of these phone calls, we only got 2 Roger Jackson phone calls. And it's like, really? That's it? And yes, they're using AI because AI is prevalent now. But they didn't say anything about it. You know, there wasn't any commentary. There wasn't really any, it didn't really have anything to do with the movie. And then again, when the reveal came, it was like, why were you using Stu? Why Stu? It just didn't make any sense to me in the grand scheme of things. So I was very disappointed that this is how they chose to bring him back. I really thought we were going to get, you know, more flashbacks, more lore, Maureen Prescott, all of that. And so, yeah, Botox Ghost Billy and AI Stu, it pisses me off that these are like my 2 most favorite ghost faces, and this is how you brought them back to the franchise. And yeah, screw AI, man. I saw the Terminator films when I was very young. They left an impression. AI is evil.
See, she wants the lover's revenge. Told you.
Wow.
Yes, exactly. Take it away, Eric.
Yeah, how do I follow that up? Jeez.
I know, right?
Okay. My thoughts on AI are it depends on what it's used for. Because like Barb says, I use it for a thumbnail because I want to put me and my friend Melissa in the movie. It's literally a comic book image. I'm not monetized. That's why I use it. Or you know, we all say Google, you know, when's this movie coming out? We've all done that. So that's fine. When you're literally taking images and making your own movie scenes and you're making money off of it on social media, that's where I say no.
I feel like when you're monetizing yourself, then use Canva. Use Canva and may actually create it.
I honestly, I use the AI now on my thumbnails because you've seen my thumbnails before, Barb, and I just did the copy and paste. I'm too impatient and I'm lazy and I don't have the patience anymore to cut out an image of my friend to put them to fight the fucking leprechaun of all people. You know what I mean? So that's why I use AI. Now, the Stu thing, it's gonna bank a little bit on the reveal. I was completely fine with it. Like Rachel, I thought it was going to be a flashback to Stu and Billy killing Maureen, and then Dewey shows up and finds the body. You know what I mean? Scott Foley's there, you know, pulling the strings type of thing. Didn't happen. Okay. I wasn't too bad with Matthew Lillard in this one. Like he wasn't as manic, in my opinion, as he was in the first movie, which, as you know, is a plus to me. The reason why I didn't have a problem with him still being a little goofy and the whole finger thing is it's not Stu. It's probably fucking Ethan Embry doing that. He's a moron and he doesn't know what he's doing. So on a second viewing, it helped me a little bit. You know what I mean? When you realize it's just some dumb shit trying to be scary and intimidating. And I have no hair on the top of my head. That receding hairline isn't going to intimidate anybody. So it goes with the fact that he has to do something either under the mask or under AI to be scary. The Stu thing, I'm not on the Stu train. I didn't give two shits about the character. I think it's just to, again, bring the fans in that wanted him for so long. And now that we're all mad that the Carpenter sisters aren't here and blah, 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 we got to get the people back in the theater. I thought...
Yeah. I think you probably have a good point there. Yeah.
And I think the way Stu was handled was fine. Little bits sprinkled here and there. We don't have to have 90 minutes of him sticking out his tongue. I think he was just fine. And again, when you realize it's some dork behind doing it, you can understand why he's so kind of over the top and clicking it off and stuff like that. That's my take on it. And I will say this, I prefer AI Stu, and I call him Force Ghost Billy. You know what I mean? Like Star Wars, or he's Obi-Wan telling his little Padawan what to do. That's how I take it. I prefer AI Stu over Force Ghost Billy. That's me, because I think it was handled better. It is relevant. You know what I mean? AI, whether you like it or not, is relevant instead of somebody seeing, visions of her dad that she never fucking met, and he's still a teenager. You know what I mean? So that's my take on the AI and the Stu thing.
Yeah, that's good. Now, I think the reason why I cracked up in the theater so much because you said, oh, it's probably Ethan Embry, but it's because it's almost like Matthew Lillard playing Stu Macher playing Matthew Lillard, because if you've seen him at a convention like I have, or at those Q&A panels, that's how he acts in real life, and that's why it's so funny to me. If you guys saw that, it would just have another layer of hilarity, because that's just it was almost like he just went for the gusto, I'm just gonna play this like myself.
Well, he's he's a smart man. He's a businessman. There's a reason why he's been around since Serial Mom, and that was before Scream. You know what I mean? He knows this is the 7th movie. Believability has been thrown out the window. I'm just going to go balls to the wall and just be goofy, because now I can get away with it. You know what I mean? They want me back. I'm just going to take the ball and run. And I think he did for what he was given. I think he was fine. I didn't love him. I didn't hate him this time. So we'll say that fake Stu is an improvement. Fake Stu is an improvement over the real thing.
Now, I'll start the reveal conversation by saying this. Okay. This was really helpful in seeing her. I guess there's a pro to me waiting a whole month after this was at the theaters for us to get together and talk about this. Because I was like, oh man, everyone's talking about it now, and I've got too many things coming up. But actually, this turns out to be a benefit, because in that time, I was able to see her interview where she was saying they didn't have anything in the storyline for her. I mean, she had to come up with that whole quick, oh, my son was just he was just like his father, so yeah, he had to go, and just adding all these word salad things at the end. It wasn't her fault, and it was so helpful to hear her say that, because I thought when the reveal happened, it took me a second to realize, wait, what is happening right now? So what I think is ironic is that they originally shot it to where Stu was going to be alive at the end. And Kevin Williams said, well, the test audience said they were really confused by that. Okay, well, we were really freaking confused by Anna Camp, Jessica, being Ghostface. We were confused by that because we were like, wait a minute. Where in the movie did it have enough meat on its bones to have this be a real thing?
It didn't
make sense. But that's why otherwise I feel like the reveal could have landed had they given us a little bit more, even 1 or 2 more scenes with her trickled in the movie. Are your thoughts the same?
Okay, this is tough. First off, I do want to say, go back to the AI thing. I was happy to see Laurie Metcalf. I am a
Yes.
big Mrs. Loomis fan, and she was not promoted. I was
No.
so happy in the theater seeing her.
Yeah, that was fun.
The Scott Foley did fine doing what, again, it's not Scott Foley, it's not his character, and it's not Dewey, it's not his character, so they are acting a little different. But I was so happy seeing Laurie Metcalf there, so I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, that
Now,
was cool.
the reveal. I have a hard time enjoying it because I just didn't care for the reasoning. I get Billy's reason. Stu's just a psychopath. Okay, Mickey is just a psychopath. We understand why Mrs. Loomis did it. We understand, I can never think of his name, why Scott Foley did it. You know what I mean? The jealousy thing. And then, so on and so on. They all had reasons. Even Scream 6 had, the angry father. You know what I mean? They just switched him with Mrs. Loomis. I didn't get the reasoning. Wow, I still don't understand. I just watched the damn thing today. She felt strong and empowered after reading Sidney's book, and then now she's mad that she wasn't there at the last incident. So now she's going after her and her family to make Tatum the new final girl. That I didn't get. So maybe because of the reasoning, and I didn't mind that she wasn't in the movie that much. You know what I mean? That's fine, because that's a great thing. You forget about the guy, that was introduced 30 minutes ago, and boom. If they have a good reasoning, I'm all for it. I just didn't care. And I know they tried to recreate the whole argument with her and Ethan Embry. They tried to recreate Stu and Billy. The problem was, even though I literally laughed out loud when they said, you think Stu's alive? That's stupid. I'm not going to lie. I laughed out loud in the theater when Ethan said that. They didn't have the chemistry with their banter. You know what I mean? You could tell that they were getting frustrated. They probably only knew each other for a couple months, maybe, give or take, character-wise. But it just didn't click. Like, they're arguing, this was my idea. No, this was my idea. No. They didn't even, it wasn't even like watching a fun old married couple go at it. And I'm sure that's what they tried to do. But the problem was the two actors didn't have the chemistry. And that's why I just didn't care. It's not like I hated the reveal. I'm just like, oh, all right. That's it, I guess. So just kind of, it didn't, like, the plane didn't crash when it made the landing, but it just almost went off, into the grass instead of like staying where it had to go. So it was just, they didn't land the ending, but didn't crash it, type of thing. I just didn't care, if that makes sense.
Right. And I feel like this is, I was trying to, as you were talking too, I was thinking, like, was this the worst reveal that we've had? I think it might have been the worst reveal. I'll be honest with myself and say that I love the movie, but the reveal was definitely lacking.
You can love a movie and still have things you don't like about it. I love Jason Goes to Hell, and that movie in parts is a piece of crap. You know what I mean? There's so many things that are wrong with it, but you can still love Scream 7 and not like the reveal part.
Well, what's great about Rachel is that she's not just, a lot of people out there, they're saying because the reveal was bad, they hated the movie. Like,
it's
so we're just gonna throw the baby out with the bathwater, as that saying goes.
Yeah.
Really? At least Rachel's like, she's coming with receipts. Like, no, I've got this, and how about this, and this other thing.
She wrote a novel with her husband when they were watching it. Rachel, you're missing 100%. Half the movie. You're missing half the movie. I don't care. I got to write this down. I'm going to be talking about this in 2 months with Bart.
When we were almost the only people in our cinema because we went during a weekday. So we went there and I'm like, are we the only people in here? Can we be as obnoxious as we want to be? But no, there was some poor girl behind us that I didn't notice snuck in until like 10 minutes into the movie. And afterwards, I almost said to her, I almost was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, because Stephen and I just kept back and forth. But I think he was just having fun. I think he was just having fun listening to us. No, I think this is the worst reveal we've had, not only because, like Eric said, it doesn't make any sense. It's one of the thinnest motivations ever. And Okay, so I know that some people, when they go to watch a Scream film, they like to sit there and try and figure out the murder mystery as they go along. They pick up
Mhm.
on clues and stuff. I personally don't watch Scream like that. I like to watch it, get the reveal, and then go back and rewatch it and see what clues have been laid. So I usually don't spend the movie trying to go, oh, is it them? Is it them? Is it them? That's just not how I enjoy the movies. However, the second Ethan Embry showed up, being all like, "Oh yeah, that's John Doe," I'm like, "Well, he's the killer.
Yeah,
Come
you knew
on!"
that.
Like, could
Yeah, you knew he was
everyone goes
involved.
on about how yeah, everyone goes on about how Bailey was so obvious in Scream 6 with his whole "you touch my family, you die." But I swear to God, Ethan Embry was like one of the biggest, like, this is our killer. They should have just put a sign on him. It would have been less subtle. And then Anna Camp. Look, I like Anna Camp. Like the things I've seen her in, she's been really fun. I think she's a fun actress. And I think that if they'd given her something meaty to do, she could have been a really interesting Ghostface. And I always love a female killer because they're just so much more fun to root for
Mhm.
because it's usually like a you go girl. I mean, it's not really, but I love, you like that. Like I recently watched Send Help with Rachel McAdams and I spent that whole movie just going, yeah, girl, go, even though she's a psycho. So I thought Anna Camp, there was potential there, but yeah, no, the reveal was, I mean, you, Barb, talking about how she didn't really have much to work with. They didn't give her much to work with. They didn't even tell her what the motivation was behind the scenes, which again just shows how this whole movie is being held together with like, sticky tape.
Scotch tape.
And I
Yes.
think, yeah, and I think that her reveal, it was not only underwhelming. It didn't have anything to do with anything. Like all the other reveals, there are things that are linking in, like Bailey is after revenge and Mrs. Loomis is after revenge, and you can always see these clear motivations. This felt like, well, like you said, Barb, like they just plucked something out of thin air. And not to get too deep, but I also felt like it was playing a little bit easy with domestic violence, which is a very, very real pressing
Mhm.
topic for a lot of women. And especially, I know here in Australia, there's been a lot of light that's been shone on domestic violence and everything. And it just felt like, oh, all you need to leave your husband is to read a really great book and you'll get the power and you can kill him. And I know that I might be going a little bit too much into things, but to me, it just felt not a huge thing. This isn't like one of
Mhm.
my huge, I hate it because of this, just a tiny little nitpick. But I was like, really? You're just going to slip in like a very prevalent, very relevant topic that is affecting so many women, and you're just going to slide it in this like it's just part of a slasher film. It didn't sit 100% right with me. On a
Okay.
lighter note, I also found it hilarious that you can literally see in the final scene Ghostface go from being 6 foot tall to being 5'4" when Anna
No.
Camp takes her mask off.
Oh.
So I was
Oh,
like,
I didn't
I
know
know
that.
that there are other Ghostface reveals that do that, but this one was like really obvious. Like if you watch
Oh,
the
wow.
final scene, you'll see she's equal with Ethan Embry, and then all of a sudden the mask comes off, and boom, she's dropped to like 6 inches.
And listen, I know that they say, "Oh, you can't really pay attention to that stuff. It's just, camera stuff." It's like, but it
Yeah,
makes no sense. Can you
If it's
fi
if
can
it's
you
that blatantly obvious, there's a difference, you know?
like, if
exactly. If
she's
it's
five
that
four,
obvious,
right, if
yeah,
she's 5'4", find a stuntman that's 5'4". This is not that hard. It's not.
exactly.
Just put her under the
And
mask. Who cares? You know?
Right, and
yeah,
this is precisely why people in Scream 5 were saying, "She didn't kill Dewey. That had to have been Stu Macher because he's tall." This is how it all started, if you think about it.
mhm.
No one
Why
was talking about it in 4.
if Stu killed Dewey, why would he say it's been an honor? He wouldn't give a shit.
That's
It
true. That would
wouldn't.
be more of a
Stop.
He'd just stick his
Billy
tongue
thing.
out.
Stop. That was them. They're still wishing on that star, hoping that Stu's alive. No, Stu would have loved to have killed Dewey, but he wouldn't say it's been an honor. He would have said something like about time or something else
Oh,
stupid
yeah, you're
like that.
probably right.
He wouldn't have said
Yeah.
it would have been an honor. He would have said something stupid that he normally
Oh, I've
says.
been waiting for this or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah, or
I
Yeah.
do
say
think
hi
that
to Tatum for me or something like that.
Yes.
You know
Oh,
what I mean?
yes. Just stick the knife. Damn it. Now I didn't even want Stu to be alive, but now I'm wishing that it had been Stu who killed Dewey because I've always been pissed that it was Amber who got to kill Dewey. I was like, you are not worth killing. No, you
Well,
don't get to kill Dewey.
I
you
was
wanna
okay
go
with
you
it.
wanna go down a rabbit hole? I'm sorry, I don't think Mrs. Loomis really had th how did she drag Randy into a van? I'm sorry. There, I said it.
Right? Randy's death has always pissed me off because
Randy
it's
is like
very
110 pounds soaking wet. And listen, I'm married. I have a 14-year-old. I know how strong women can be when they are not happy.
Oh,
Okay?
True. That is very true. Eric's
Hey,
You
got
know
a
what I
point.
mean? You don't
Blink
piss off a
twice.
woman when they're already angry. He was shit talking her baby. Boom. End of
I was
story.
like, Eric, blink twice if you're not okay.
No, it's not one of those situations. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to make light of that subject. I'm just
I know,
making a joke.
I
But
know.
Sorry, no, I went too serious for a second
no,
there.
no, no,
It
no,
was
no,
just
no, no, no,
it
no,
was
no,
just
no.
on my
I'm
mind.
saying what I'm talking about. I'm not trying to make
Yeah,
light of
yep.
that situation. But again,
My issue
you
with
you piss you
with
you
with
piss
with
off a woman and you're insulting her
yeah,
child. She's gonna go that
mhm,
extra distance. And again,
she's gonna go
Jamie
mama bear.
Kennedy is like 110 pounds. Come on, we could lift him up and drag him in the back of a van if we wanted to.
Oh, man. No, my issue with Randy's death was always just it was too perfectly timed. It's like, oh, he stood at the van just as she was ready to get him, and then those boombox dudes came past just as she was like stabbing him, and then this is like, oh, come on, dude. But it's not a big thing. It doesn't bug me that much. It's just one of
I
those
was
things
like,
that when I watch it, I'm like, okay, we need to stretch the disbelief for a while, but we can do that. It's a slasher film. It's
Mhm.
okay.
you turn that damn music off right now. There's someone
I
that needs
know,
to
right?
save
I just love seeing the boombox. It's such a flashback to the 90s before,
Yeah.
before we had iPods and phones and everything. We're just walking around with this massive ass stereo, like, yeah, let's go.
Next up,
Oh,
I want to
dear.
talk about this, and then of course we'll end with the whole what's going on with the fandom. But the Zuckerman sisters for Scream 8, okay, we know that they've done Poker Face, which I have not seen Poker Face, but I've only heard good things about it. That's the
Me
thing.
too.
They
Yeah.
do, it sounds like they know what they're doing with mystery, which I feel like they could finally give us a decent reveal, which the
Mm,
last couple have been lacking.
I know absolutely nothing about the Zuckerman sisters.
me
So
either.
I'm in the same boat that I'm gonna be with this one and all the previous ones. I don't think the reveal for Scream 6 was bad. I just think afterwards was bad. Dude, you have a gun. Quit
He's
doing the
running after
monologue. Shooter. Stop. So he was an idiot. The reveal was fine because he's a vengeful parent. I love the
Yeah.
vengeful parent. He was just a moron. Shooter. Shut up. You say your reasons. Shooter. The end.
Okay, so I didn't necessarily have a problem with I guess I just mean because when I first watched it, I thought, here we go again, another over the top one like Mickey and 2.
No,
So
I
I
love
had a
it.
problem with it at first.
No, I
I
get
did.
it. I get it.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I interrupted though. You were gonna say something.
No. I'm just saying. I'm hopeful, but I know nothing of the Zuckerman sisters, so it's not like it could be any worse in my opinion. You know what I mean? Or I'm always hoping it could be better. But again, there wasn't that much about this movie that I disliked, but there wasn't that much that I loved. The callbacks were not that great. I will say this: I hate the literal recreation of the boyfriend going through the bedroom
Oh,
window, and it's
Me
fucking
too.
and it's not that he snuck in through the window. Guys do that all the time. Boyfriends do that all the time. But it's the literal word for word. I was watching this on TV and it made me
Mhm,
think of you, sweetheart.
mhm.
That's it. So hopefully the Zuckerman sisters, if they're behind the pen, if they can, you can do nods, but don't do like literal scene for scene thing. So, and again, the rules. This is just me talking. The rules have been played out. If you want to have Mindy in there, fine, have her in there, but don't have her tell the rules because with an eighth movie, there really are no rules anymore. You know what I mean? So hopefully they can clean that up a little bit. So I am hopeful.
yeah. What are your thoughts, Rachel?
Look, first of all, I just want to say, Eric, I am so with you. When I saw that scene and he came through the window, I was like, okay. And when he said the exact dial, and I know the first Scream off by heart, so that was the exact same dialogue. And
Mhm.
it was just like, really? What are we doing? And I also felt that like they had done that scene before with Jill, and I actually think it was more effective with Jill, which is I don't usually praise Scream for that much because it's my least favorite of the sequels, but I actually think Sydney finding Jill in her bedroom with her boyfriend, and you just kind of see Sydney stop for a second, like she is literally seeing the past, as opposed to this one, which just felt like like Eric said, just felt cheap. It just felt like we're just repeating the exact same thing because what, we can't think of anything else new. But with Scream 8, look, I don't know the Zuckerman sisters. I don't really know anything about them. I never saw Poker Face, although like Barb, I've heard nothing but good things about it. But I'm actually at the point where I know this is going to sound really bad, but I was actually kind of hoping that maybe the reaction to Scream 7 would shelve Scream 8 for now, because I'm getting a bit fatigued. Again, this is my favorite franchise, okay? I love this franchise. I love Sidney Prescott. I love the Carpenters, but we need a break. You know, we need like a 10, 15-year break and then come back, you know?
Yes.
I don't know where they're going to go. I don't know what they're going to do in this new one, because everything was kind of already done. Hopefully we'll get better characterization. That's something I wanted to mention. I think the characterization in Scream 7 was so thin. I could literally not remember. Like you guys were struggling to remember someone's name. It's like weird guy, girl who has crush on weird guy, Tatum's boyfriend, Tatum's best friend. Why would you have an actress like McKenna Grace in this movie only to kill her off so quickly and do nothing with her? Like absolutely nothing. We didn't really get to know any of these characters. Like, you know, the other characters, and it's not even about them not having enough screen time. Like Scream 2, Cece, Sarah Michelle Gellar's character, you only have her for 2 scenes, and yet you get a real sense of who she is, like who this character is. I mean, not like a fully developed character, but you know things about Cece. So when she dies, you feel it. I didn't feel any single death in this one. Also, can I just say that Derek has now given the cardboard boyfriend of the year crown to Tatum's boyfriend, because that block of wood was just so ineffective. Looked like he stepped right off the pages of an Abercrombie and Fitch magazine and just did absolutely nothing. So yeah, the characterization in this was so thin, except for Sidney, who, like I said, the characterization wasn't really anything different. It was solid, but it was like, we already know all this about Sidney. We know she's badass. She knows she can take care of herself. That being said, Sidney Prescott, Ghostface comes after you every few years like clockwork. You know this. Why have you not taught your daughter how to handle a firearm? Like, I'm sorry, that pissed me off. I'm like, you don't need to go full Laurie Connor Strode. Okay, we don't need to have like booby traps and everything. We don't need that. That worked for Halloween, but not for this. But at least teach your daughter how to use a firearm. All right, like the fact that she actually had to walk Tatum through that was pissing me off.
That it's not just that. That's fine if Sidney doesn't want to teach her daughter that. Your dad's a cop. Your dad knows enough about his wife's backstory, because again, they made a big deal about, you know, if you want to know my history, go watch the movies, go read the books. I'm a dad. If my daughter, if I was married to a woman who had fucking people after her for 6 movies, for some reason, they're gonna come after her again. I would have my daughter at least be trained for a firearm, or even at least some self-defense. You know what I mean? 3 minutes in a panic room ain't gonna work. The father who is a cop should have at least did it. Like, if Sidney wasn't gonna do it, throw in a scene of Joel McHale showing her how to do it. You know what I mean? Or telling her, hey, this is where it's gonna be at home or whatever. The safety's off. That's it.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yep.
I guess I hadn't even thought of that. Twice I've seen it. I didn't even think about that.
Your dad's a cop.
She could have saved time.
Eric, buddy, you want to talk about dumb cops in this movie? Hello, we have searched your entire house except your attic. We just decided to forego that. What the hell? I was so pissed when they're like, yep, we searched the whole house, and then Ghostface just drops down from the ceiling. Yeah, incompetent cops.
Overworked and underpaid. That's what it was. They didn't care.
Yeah. Definitely.
You guys ready for this next one?
Uh-oh.
Toxic fandom in the franchise.
Oh,
I
no.
feel like we had to end it with this, because I just want to say.
Yes, let's end on a happy note, girls.
I want to say I was just in a group, which I've now removed myself from 5 or 6. I think I was in 5 or 6 different like Woodsboro Facebook groups or Scream discussion Facebook groups. I've removed myself from all of them because of something that happened. Was it yesterday or the day before? All my days are running together.
I think it might have been yesterday. I think you and I were talking about it.
Yeah. And I had sent I don't remember if I sent it to you, Rachel, but in any case, it's on my Facebook page. Just talking about how I had said something it was the first thing that popped up on my feed where some guy was saying, like, it showed a picture of Stu Macher's grave, like, obviously made up. And it said, hey, for you slow ones in the back of the theater, he's dead. Pretty much that's me summing it up.
Sure.
And I just wrote under there, I said, the bigger question is, why does it bother people so much that people want to just come up with theories? I mean, it's just for fun speculation anyway. And then he comes back and says something like, oh yeah, you're part of the problem. And it just like turned into this whole thing. And I was like, this guy, I was trying to be funny too, because I said, oh, hey, listen, we haven't gone to space yet. Let's go.
Mhm.
Meaning, like, I will fill a seat no matter what they give us because I have that much fun with the franchise. And he said, oh no, you're an idiot basically, and you just go on to space by yourself, idiot, kind of thing.
Mhm.
And I thought, oh my god, so I was gonna say something back, and the comments had been automatically turned off because sometimes in a group you can set it to where if it's on fire like that and there's too many people just commenting, it could be a bad thing. Like,
Mhm.
so it gives admins a chance to catch up. And I didn't get a chance to say anything else, but I was just like, who is this tool? I mean, is it really that serious? So you have people on one side that are like, you shut up, Stu is alive. But then you but get mad about it. And then you have people on the other side that are like, you shut up, Stu's dead. You just deal with it. You know what I mean?
My
Like,
dad could beat up your dad, you jerk. Yeah.
and I'm just like, why is this such a thing? Why can't we just have fun with it? Why can't we say, I mean, at least in Eric's defense, like Eric will just be like, dude, he had a TV on his head.
He had a
TVs
TV
back
on
then
his
were heavy.
head. He was
Argument.
stabbed. He was stabbed
Mhm.
200 times. He was bleeding
Mhm.
out. And I always tell people,
Mhm.
you got to follow the rules. He said, I'll be right back. He's dead.
Mhm.
Why does everybody let
Yep.
that slide? Even Ethan Embry's dumbass said, I'll be right back. And he was killed within 3 minutes. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
In this
yeah.
new one.
No, Eric, that's always my argument. Every time someone's like, is Stu alive? I'm like, dude, TV to the head. And not some shitty like plasma TV from now. We're talking like a 90s box TV,
Those
okay?
fuckers
Those
were like
things
40,
weighed a
50
lot.
pounds.
Yeah. Uh-huh. So yeah, that was always my argument too. But
Yeah.
these kind of fans are, I mean, it's like Eric was saying earlier when we're talking off screen. It's like, it's just a movie, dude.
Yeah.
How is it affecting your life in any way, shape, or form?
That's it. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think people get very passionate, which I understand. I've been in fandom for years. I understand passion, but it was like I was saying earlier as well. The anonymity of the internet, unfortunately, allows like really awful people to say things online that they might not normally say to your face. Like I said, I mean, we're all content creators. We've all probably gotten, comments at certain points that you just kind of go, why would you write this? Like, is it
Right.
making your life better to come and insult me? Do you feel better now that you've insulted my appearance or something like that for just because I've shared an opinion that you don't like? I mean, I talked about this before, but having been in, I'm going to name fandoms here, but having been in the Buffy fandom for like 30 years, the toxicity I have come across in that fandom, where, if you don't like a certain character or you don't like a certain relationship or you don't like this, and they will get rabid. And one of the first videos I ever did on my channel was actually about fandom entitlement. I think a creator had just had like a whole lot of fans go after him. And I just basically went up there and I was like, dudes, here's the bottom line, and it sounds really harsh, but it's true. These people do not owe you anything. Outside of maybe of entertaining you, they don't owe you a single thing. So just leave them alone. And yeah, when it comes to fans, I mean, it's horrible that you had to experience that, Bob, because it can really make you want to retreat from fandom, which is a
Well,
pity because fandom can be a great place, but it can also be pretty terrible.
and the thing is, I never want to get to a point, even on this channel, where I'm talking Scream to death. I
Right.
mean, if anyone wants to do that on their own channel, that's fine. But I feel like if I do it on this, I think I honestly feel like I'll end up not wanting to watch the movies anymore.
You get sick of it.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I'll be talking about it too much, and it's just like I don't want to burn out. So I
Yeah.
don't. If you notice on my channel, like even though it's my favorite franchise, and I'm always willing to talk about it in person, I don't want to go too far with it on here. I want to stretch it out. Like I may not talk about Scream again now for 6 months. So, but I'm glad that we're getting the chance to talk about this because this topic in particular, the toxic fandom too, I feel like it does need to be talked about because people, can you chill out? Like let's go back to when things were fun and light and I don't know that it was ever like this. I mean, before the internet, like you remember that 1996 was when the first one came out. So
Mhm.
none of us were really on the internet that much. Now, I think Eric, you're the one that said everyone has a voice. You know, everyone has a voice now, and they're by golly, they're gonna get heard. And
I
I just think that there's a polite way. You can have discourse with people and keep it respectful.
I've I've been on YouTube for 10 years. I don't know how long, Rachel, you've been on YouTube. Barb, I know
7,
you're
so almost there.
okay, and Barb, I know you're pretty new, at least with your own channel. People are assholes, man. There's no other
Oh, yeah.
way. There's no other way to say it. And the problem is, like you said, Barb. You know, I make the saying: everybody's got a voice, and 90% of them need to shut the fuck up. And the reason why is, again, like I told you earlier, Rachel. Like if you don't like this movie, go ahead, but you keep it civil. Civil conversation
Mhm.
is dead because
And
everybody's an
she's
internet.
funny.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. When I try to air quotes crap on a movie, I'm being serious, but I try to do it in a light and funny way. You
It
know what
is
I mean?
funny. Yeah.
And the
Mhm.
thing
Yeah.
is, Barb, you love Scream 7. It's just math to me. Why do I care that you love something that I don't? And vice versa. Why does
Mhm.
me loving something and you hating it, why would that affect me? I'm too old for this shit, man. I really am. I'm Danny Glover. I don't care anymore. I'm gonna we'll peel back the curtains. I've lost so many friends and family members over the last almost 2 years. We can all go tomorrow. Is it really worth being pissed off that Stu wasn't really in there? You really gonna be that fucking
Mm.
insulted that Stu wasn't really alive? That kind of, and this again, my views don't represent Rachel or Barb, but that kind of says something about you. You know what I mean? Fan is short for fanatic. There's loving a franchise or just loving a movie in general. And then there's loving it so much you're going to be a dick because someone doesn't like it.
Right.
I've been in the horror community for, again, pretty much the whole 10 years I've been on YouTube. And like I said, Scream and Halloween fans, they're a whole different breed. They really are. Like, if
They
you
are.
have that one little bit of thing that they don't like, some of them are have civil conversation, but you'll find that one jerk that will just try to make it personal. Me and Barb
Mhm.
love Rob Zombie's Halloween too. How does that ruin your day? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Seriously.
Mhm.
Like I understand. I'm just using it as an example. I can see why there are a lot of things in that movie that people don't like, that people hate. But why are you going to crap on our parade because we like it and we want to talk about it? And I guarantee
Mhm.
you fuckers have that DVD or high definition Blu-ray in your collection. So you don't hate it that much if you're going to spend money on it. This fandom is so bad. I made a YouTube short. I think I did. When James Vanderbeek died, there was a Kevin Williamson tribute picture, them standing next to each other. You know what I mean? And some asshole said to Kevin Williamson, "You'll be meeting him at the premiere for what you did." Because he's directing the seventh movie because the Carpenter sisters are in it. That says something about you. If you're that big on your fucking protest that you went and saw the movie, you already got advance tickets. I know it doesn't matter, but you're that mad at someone who doesn't even know you exist and will never know
Mhm.
you exist. You're that mad that you're wishing him death
That's
when
where I
he's
say it gets
celebrating the death of his friend. Come on. That's going
That's
too far. And
terrible.
I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of what's kind of pushed me off YouTube a little bit in social media because I don't
Mhm.
have time for that shit. You know what I mean? Friendly
I hear you.
banter, like what the three of us are having now. Friendly banter is fun.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I have fun poking fun at Matthew Lillard in part one and just getting a reaction from you two girls because you love him. But in the end, I don't give a shit if you love him. That doesn't
Huh.
ruin my day. And you guys know I'm
Mhm.
serious that I don't like him, but I also am doing it in a joking way. There's a way to handle that. And then there's just being a disgusting person. There were death threats to people that liked
right.
Halloween Ends and stuff like that. I said, "You're a
No,
moron." You know what I mean?
that is
It's a
crap.
movie. It's
Mhm.
it's just garbage. And the problem is when people love something so much, they won't just cross that line, they'll just fucking pole vault over it, and
Mhm.
they will make it their business to ruin your day. And that's
Oh,
why I
yeah.
hope that
Mhm.
Ghostface goes into space, so that one guy that was mean to Barb, you know what I mean? She could be just like, damn it, that woman, she was right. But
Well,
you know what I mean?
yeah, and
It,
what I was so surprised about was that I literally said something funny and I put an emoji after it, and he just like you saw what I wrote on Facebook because I
I
said,
did.
"Dang, this guy
Yeah.
threw me under the bus, then jumped in the driver's seat, reversed, and ran over me again." It was just like,
It's just like, who
really?
cares? Who cares? Who cares that I like the Nightmare on Elm
Right.
Street reboot? Is that really gonna ruin your day? Are you ever gonna watch the movie again? No? All right. Don't watch my channel or don't listen to me. Who cares?
Yeah, it
And
can get fandom space can get so insane. And like I enjoy a good debate. You know, I've been on
Yes.
forums, I'd enjoy a good back and forth, trying to, make your point or whatever. But yeah, when you get too intense, it just gets really insane. And like not to, toot our horns and say we're the best, but look at the three of us. We've been sitting here for almost 2 hours with completely different opinions on this movie. And we've all stayed civil. No one's flinging mud or, calling anyone names yet.
Yeah.
And, we're
Yeah.
doing pretty good. Eric's admitted to hating my favorite, horror movie villain. And when I hear
Yeah.
when someone hates something that I like, usually my response is, "Oh, that's a pity. I wonder why they don't like it." And then I just move on.
Yeah.
right.
I mean, if it's something I love and it's like a
Mhm.
close friend, maybe I might try and convince them. You're like, "Oh, but have you thought about this, this, and this?" But I'm not saying, "Oh, you suck and you should die because you don't like something that
And
I
you
like."
did
Like,
with
that's
with
ridiculous.
the Stu thing. The basically like the Odd Couple. Stu and Billy. They're so different. I understood it. It didn't make me
Mhm.
enjoy Stu more, but I at least listen to you, and I appreciate the fact that that's how you look at it. That's
Totally.
why that was one of my main thing is you guys are fans of Stu. I want to know why because I don't see it.
Mhm.
If you guys give reasons that I think are air quotes stupid as hell, who cares? You know what I mean? You
Mhm.
like what you like. Why? You know, we all love movies that people hate. Now, why is one movie get an excuse? This movie is trash, and we all know it. Halloween 6 has fans. Okay,
Yes, I
where he's
always
where
bring that up.
with the
Yeah.
rune stones, and he's controlled by the sky and all this stupid bullshit. That's fine. I don't care. You want to enjoy it and have your 90 minutes of fun. I'm going to go watch Critters. You know what I mean? Or Killer Clowns. That's fine. But guess what? I really have no room to say anything because I have the movie in my collection. You know what I
Well,
mean?
another thing to
Mhm.
bring up, and Eric, I know you agree with me on this too, because we've talked about rankings. When people put up a ranking system saying, "Oh, like Scream 6 was my top, Scream 1 was my second top," and
Mhm.
and on and on, I feel like people kind of attack over that too, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh," I
Oh,
always
yeah.
find that to be really interesting when someone puts something that I would never have put first, when they say, "This is what I," because then I'm like, "Okay, well, was it because that was the first one they watched? Was it because there was something just really
Mm-hmm.
exciting about, a certain scene that they fell in
Mhm.
love with?" Then I feel like for me, it opens up a conversation
Oh,
then
yeah.
because I want to know
Yeah.
what made you love it so much? Like Halloween 4, I've always felt like Halloween 4 wasn't as good as other people thought it was, and I'm just like, "What am I
3.
missing?"
Yeah.
Oh, 3 for you?
Yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah. Like, people rave about Halloween 4, and I'm like, "Good credits, good ending," but the rest of the film is like, eh.
that too.
And Halloween 4 is my favorite of the series.
And
You
see,
There
know?
that's
we
what I'm saying,
go.
like, it always makes me, want to start a dialogue then, like, "Okay, what did you like about it?" Because I
Mm.
thought that the mask wasn't scary for me,
No.
and the dude had shoulder pads, and I
Yeah.
just
Well,
I it's like,
I've
I
told
can't
you,
be scared right now.
Halloween 4 is my, I just said it, is my favorite of the franchise. The mask is awful. It looked like, I mean, it makes sense. It's a dime store knockoff, so I can make it sound good. You know what I mean? But it
Yeah.
literally looks like you took the William Shatner mask and you set it on like a space heater and you didn't know it was on. And you walked away for like a half hour. He looks like a melted mime. But I
I
can still critique, exactly. I can still critique it and still enjoy the movie. We
Yeah.
again, taste buds. What I think is sour, you guys think is sweet.
Mhm.
I'm a little salty, Barb knows at times, but it's just fun conversation. We weren't on the internet. We'd just be work buddies at the freaking water cooler talking about it.
Yeah.
And the
Wait,
problem is
remember water
like
cooler
Rachel,
talk?
like Rachel says, it's being anonymous on the internet, no one has anything to lose. And that's the downside of social media. I always say social media isn't the problem. It's the people that use it improperly. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Social media has a bunch of good. That's how we all met. You know what I mean?
Oh,
YouTube
yeah.
is a social media app. That's how we met. You know what I mean? There is good in it. There's just some of the jerks that just cross that line. And again, like I said, it's just a movie. If you're that pissed that Barb, God bless her, wants Stu to come back and 8 for some reason, why are you going to insult her? You know what I mean?
Oh,
Who cares? Who
I forgot that
cares?
that was one thing that I had said to that guy. I said, "Listen, I've told my friends that if he's not back in 8, I'm just going to give it up." You know, because like what Rachel said earlier, at some point it's going to be silly to bring him back.
Mhm.
Have we reached that already? Maybe we have. But if they don't bring him back in 8, I'm going to be like, "Yeah, he's not coming back," because this would be too it wouldn't make sense now at this point. Whereas,
At this point.
this
Yeah.
point.
At this point.
Okay. Sure.
I know you and Rachel are both laughing at me because Rachel's like, no, he's not coming back.
Yeah.
No.
But see that's a perfect
No.
example. I don't agree with Barb one bit. I can make a little quip and she'll laugh, and it doesn't ruin her day. That's why I always say, just don't be a dick. You know what I
And
mean?
something that
Exactly.
you had said too, you said keep your circle small because
I
once you
like a
start
glove. That's what I
broadening
always
it,
say, like a glove. Yep.
yeah. If I could end this with a positive, I will say
Please.
yes. I'm going to end it with a positive because toxic fandom isn't positive. But let me just say, if you've watched this far, maybe you've you've hit the replay and you're watching now. If someone comes up and says to you, "Oh, I love this movie. What did you think of it?" Find a way to just politely disagree with them and just say, maybe bring up the reasons why you didn't like this, and
Mhm.
this, because you never know. You could make a friend out of this
Yeah.
online because of the fact that
Yeah.
you guys both agreed on something but disagreed, but one of you has a very good point, and now you've kind of gotten some insight from this movie that you've seen 10 times and just never thought twice about. I feel like that's how friendships are made in the horror community is by not necessarily agreeing on everything, but by coming together and discussing things like we 3 just did for Scream
Yep.
7. It's not like we all
Mhm.
3 love this movie, but,
Exactly. Barb, what
um
was the first movie we did, or the first movie we talked about together was Halloween 5.
wasn't it Halloween
I
5?
hate that movie with a passion. But we
Yes.
had a blast talking about it. You know
And
what I
I
mean?
and
And
then
we've become better friends since then.
oh, yeah, and I feel like too, if someone online, let's say you're seeing a ranking video or something, and let's say you see your least favorite as their top in their list. Ask them about it because something has drawn them to that movie.
Mhm.
I found that out with Scream 2. Everyone kept, saying how Scream 2 is the best sequel. And I'm like, what am I missing on this? And I
Yep.
ended up going back after seeing a video from We Watched a Movie where they just loved it, talked about it, different things. And I'm like, you know what? I can forgive that cafeteria song
Yeah.
because there's
Look.
so much good in it. You know what I'm saying?
How many movies have that we love and we have passion for that have cringy scenes? Okay.
Yes.
Listen, people love The Lost Boys. That scene where Corey Haim is in the bathtub is fucking stupid. Okay. But why does that get a pass? You know what I mean? I love Nightmare on Elm Street too, but when Jesse's dancing around like an idiot, I can't defend it. It's like, what if I was introducing somebody to horror, like my friend Melissa? You know what I mean? What if like she's really getting into The Lost Boys and she's like, this movie is great, and then we have the bathtub scene, and she's just like, I'm done. You know what I mean? We all have a movie that we love that has a cringy scene, and that's how I explain and try to give a pass and try to get people to understand the dance or the singing scene that Scream 2, because I know people love The Lost Boys, and they won't admit that part where he's dancing in the tub to the Frogman song, and doing all the funny voices. It's pretty cringy, whether you admit it or not. It is.
I
It
had
was
never
always
thought
the
about it till you said that.
I was gonna say, it
See?
was always the oiled up saxophone player that used to make me wonder if Joel Schumacher was doing okay behind the scenes. I was like,
And then you
what
and
are
then
we
you
doing,
found
buddy?
and then you found out, and you're like, okay, it all makes sense. But that's what I mean. You can love a movie and have a cringy scene. I can look past Derek dancing around like an idiot embarrassing his girlfriend. There's no way they were going to get action that night. You know what I mean? When
Just
I
like
always
all of
throw
Oh,
out
man.
Corey Haim in the bathtub in Lost Boys.
all of the crazy stuff that's going on in the world right now. Can't we just come together in a
And admit that
conversation?
Stu is an awful person, an awful character. I'm sorry. You set it up. I had to,
I just want us all in the horror community to at least, if you don't, just have respect for other people. That's just it.
Absolutely.
Just you can
Absolutely.
create friendships just by being a little flexible in your opinions. That's all.
Hey, I agreed to come back and
Great
talk
place to
Scream.
make friends.
I've agreed to
Yes.
talk Scream 3 with you two knuckleheads in the future. So that shows, it's just all about the conversation, and that's what matters in the end. Me not liking a
Take the
movie.
Parker Posey lover out of you yet.
No,
That's
you won't,
right.
because I've seen a lot of Parker Posey movies, and it's not going to happen. But that notwithstanding,
That girl.
me not liking a movie, I'm not going to do my best to ruin it for you two. You know what I mean? Because I know you guys love the movie.
That's why I felt wary about coming on this stream. I was like, I don't want to come on and like ruin this movie for Barb and like, just poop all over like her love for this movie. But no, this has been a really fun discussion, and it has shown how you can have different opinions. I mean,
Yes.
I go on Knight's channel, and we have all different opinions there. Lots of back and forth, and even in the chat. And I think I know that like when you narrow it down to like the individual franchises, like the Scream fandom and the Halloween fandom, you can get some really real nastiness in there. But in general, like the horror fandom is one of the nicer fandoms I have experienced. I've been in a lot of different fandoms, and horror lovers just tend to be fairly nice people. Like everyone thinks that we're like dark and scary and like, hang out in our murder dungeons, but we're actually like really chill people who just like to, experience scares from the safety of our own house. But I have my experience within the horror fandom has been pretty positive, because I don't tend to go into the more niche like fandoms. I just kind of stay in the general horror area. But I think for me, the biggest advice I can give anyone is make sure you curate your online experience. So many websites have like block features, have this, use them. Like I never feel guilty about blocking anyone because I figure your fandom experience is your own. You don't have to put up with that. So block, like just, it's so hard to not engage sometimes. And I get that. Sometimes someone will come after you and you want to like retaliate, but I'm like Eric, I'm getting to the point where I'm like, I'm too old for this shit. I did my fandom battling in my teens and my early 20s. Now I just want to sit back and relax and enjoy my movies and enjoy my TV shows.
Just want to be left alone.
My biggest advice is, just curate your own experience. Find your own people. Find the people that you click with and just stay within those circles, and you'll be much happier for it. I know that when you're young, you kind of want to go into all the different fandom spaces, but the older you get, the more you just realize it's just not worth it. You just want to be happy. You just want to have your fun. Just, stick with your people, basically.
Yes.
Yeah, well said. And it's one piece of advice I will give. I will say, it is the internet. And I tell all these people that are getting started on YouTube, like younger people, like, we're all pretty much the same age. We're like people like starting out like 18, 20, whatever. I'm like, just be prepared. You are going to have that negativity. And you just got to realize, keep this a fun hobby. If you get that negative comment, think about it before you respond. Me, I don't care. You know what I mean? I'm going to say something stupid and mean and, try to make, because I've been insulted because of my weight and stuff like that. I'll just put a little kissy face emoji and say, thanks, I'll work harder or something stupid like that. I'll poke the bear, you know what I mean? But not everybody is like me. Some people will take it to heart, and you do kind of have to prepare yourself. I'm not excusing the behavior, but you do kind of have to prepare yourself for, like, you can be making a cooking video and you added too much, you freaking moron, or something like that. Someone's gonna say that, and you just gotta prepare yourself when you're on camera. Nothing's hidden, and you're gonna find criticism. There's always gonna be that one person that's having a bad day or is just a jerk in general, and you're gonna be the one that they're gonna take it out on. So that's one thing I say is you're gonna have to thicken your skin at least a little bit if you're at least on YouTube, because it's gonna happen. Like I said, I've been on here for 10 freaking years. I've seen and heard it all from multiple fandoms, whether it's the horror community, whether it's wrestling, pro wrestling fans, they're nutcases too. They're the ones waiting outside at the airport with a bucket full of things, asking them to sign autographs. Oh, you won't do it? Well, if we didn't buy tickets, you wouldn't have a career. Shut up. That kind of stuff. They're in all fandoms. You just have to prepare yourself for that one jerk and then move forward. if you can't handle a negative, like my daughter is in art class now, I said, you're gonna have to handle criticism from the teacher. They're not trying to be mean to you, they're trying to help you improve. On YouTube, you might have that one jerk that just wants to ruin your day. If a comment like that does ruin it for you and like ruins your day, maybe it's not for you. So like Rachel
Yeah.
says, curate it. You can be on social media, but like, decide on who you're going to be around. If you're like, I don't like this group, I might miss a few people in it, but I'm like, I'm gone.
Yeah.
And
Yes,
that,
it's
that
not,
is
it's
what
not
it
worth
is.
it. And I will say in closing, I realize that someone could have come across this video on the replay and doesn't know who any of us three are. And so thank you for checking us out. Eric and Rachel also have their own channel on YouTube. Rachel is Rachel McDonald, but obviously it's at Rachel Does Fandom, I think,
That's
right?
fandom. There you go.
Pretty simple.
Yep.
And if you like vampire stuff, you're going to love her channel because there's plenty of it there. But also, you do venture out and do like comedy drama stuff, and because I think for Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Oh, I did. Yeah, I did favorite rom-coms for Valentine's Day. I started with the Buffy fandom, and that's where I get most of my views from, because it is the show I know the best. And I kind of realized that I'm kind of a bit of a throwback channel. So basically, if you're missing late 90s, early 2000s TV, come find me because you will find it on my channel. I do a lot of reflection on Buffy, Charmed, True Calling. I'm about to do a Ghost Whisperer retrospective, things like that. So yeah, so if you're an elder millennial or like I am or a younger Gen X, come and check out my channel because it's definitely a throwback for you.
Yes. And then of course Eric, hey internet Eric here, but then he also has, it's kind of these would you call it sub playlists or sub channels?
Well, basically, the easiest way to say this is, like I said, I've been on YouTube for 10 years. I have just random movies that I've always talked about. And after a while, I'm like, what else can I talk about? Like, how many times, like, who really wants to hear me talk about, Pumpkinhead 2? Wow, I like this movie. I can't talk about that for like 10 minutes. So I kind of lost a little bit of the passion. But what I did is I started getting, thanks to Patrick, if he's still in the chat, Patrick likes to interview content creators and stuff like that. Barb was on it. And he kind of kicked me in the butt, and I started getting out of my comfort zone and started interviewing different content creators, whether they're pro wrestlers, YouTubers, just friends in general, and just people that I want to get to know behind the scenes of what they have done. And it's fun. Like, it's so random. Like, for an example, I interviewed a pro wrestler, and we got the wrestling talk out of the way after like a half hour. And then by the end of it, we were talking comic books and the Muppet Show. You know what I mean? That's what I like to learn. I like to talk about, because I knew he's a big Disney fan. He beats people up for a living, but then he'll go with his girlfriend to Disney World. And I'm like, let's talk about that. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. And that's a lot of fun. So I do random interviews like that. And then I also have the show that I do every other Sunday with my friend Melissa Hill. And she is a newbie to horror. Barb's been in the chat a couple of times, and we just pick a horror movie for her to watch for the first time. And then I said, don't handcuff yourself. If you don't like the movie, tell us why. And we go from point A all the way to point Z. We rate it. We tell our favorite scene. And we started out with great movies like The Substance and Train to Busan, and then eventually, and Carrie. And then we eventually got into the schlocky stuff like Troll 2. And oh my God, we just recently did Trilogy of Terror because she was terrified of that movie when she was a kid in the 70s. And she's like, fine. After 30 years, she's going to pull off the Band-Aid. And we watch, she's basically like, what the fuck was I afraid of? You know what I mean? And it's fun getting a female perspective. You know what I mean? Because you don't really see a lot. I mean, in our little circle you do, but you don't really see a lot of females on YouTube discussing horror. You don't really see a lot of females on YouTube discussing horror that are new to the genre with someone that has been watching it for 30 plus years. You know what I mean? And that's what is a lot of fun. And every now and then we got to cleanse the palate because thanks to Barb, we discussed Valley Girl. You know what I mean? And that actually was a lot of fun. And what was great is Melissa, she's originally from California, so she knows the mall. She knows where this was shot. She knows where that was shot. And we did Cabin in the Woods was another one of Barb's requests. And it's great that the way I talk about the movie is I'm talking about, this is happening and this is happening and this is happening. And then Melissa, the way she thinks of it, she's like, who the hell paid for making that underground bunker? You know, how much money was put into it and stuff like that. She thinks of these things. No one does. So that's a lot of fun. And next Sunday, she'll be back. She's at a convention right now. We'll be back, and we're going back into Stephen King schlock territory. We're going to talk Maximum Overdrive, and she has no idea what she's in for. And I can't wait. So it's a lot of fun having her newbie perspective, whether it's good or bad. Because like I said, we've done some really good movies. Like we even did Halloween. The whole time we were talking Halloween, we know its reputation, but we were talking about how useless Dr. Loomis was in that movie. He didn't do anything but scare a couple kids, shoot at Michael 6 times, and it didn't do anything because he got up and walked away. That's what we're there for, is the conversation. Yes. She ranked Troll 2 over John Carpenter's Halloween. Where are you going to see that on YouTube? You know what I mean? And that's what I love. That's what I like about bringing her into the situation. Yes. It's a lot of fun.
I think it is a lot of fun. Also want to mention anyone that loves the Evil Dead franchise. Next Sunday, I will have Bonehead Weekly on. We'll be talking live about the 5 that are currently in that universe right now, and then kind of just dipping into Evil Dead Burn. I think it's supposed to come out in July, if I'm not mistaken.
This trailer comes out next week too.
Oh, good. Yeah. Perfect timing then. Yep. And so we're just going to be discussing that. It's more going to be almost me like interviewing them, what their favorite stuff was, because I've seen these movies. I'm going to rewatch. There's 2 more that I have to rewatch, but I think it'll be a good time. And anyone that hasn't seen Bonehead Weekly, gosh, check the archives, because I've done a few collaborations with them too. But Rachel, do you have anything, just as we close up, do you have anything coming up?
No, I've basically spent the last couple of months recovering from an operation that I needed to have. So I'm just kind of getting myself back into the space of creating and getting some stuff up. Unfortunately, okay, you want to talk about toxic fandoms? I actually did film a video about a week ago where I ranked the Buffy seasons, but then when I was rewatching it, I realized I couldn't post it because I went so hard on Spike and the Spike and Buffy ship that I just knew that if I posted it, I was going to get like the insane amount of just crap rain down on me. So I actually had to put it aside and kind of be like, no, I really can't do that. So I'm thinking of maybe doing another ranking video, maybe the season finales of Buffy or something like that, where I don't have to go as into Spike as you do when you're talking about the whole seasons. But I definitely am hoping, now that I've had some health issues over the last couple of years, but some of them have started to slowly get, rectified, and I'm starting to have more energy and stuff. So I am hoping within the next few months that my channel will have a return to form, which is more video essays, exploring, things like Buffy, Charmed. Like I said, I am planning to do a Ghost Whisperer retrospective. I don't know if anyone remembers that show.
Yes, my wife watched it.
That was such a good show.
Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Yes.
It was I just did a rewatch of it. So I'm hoping to do like a retrospective on that. But yeah, I'm hoping within the next few months, because my channel last year, I basically had nothing because I was just dealing with all of my personal stuff. So I'm hoping this year to like really start getting back into it. And hopefully towards the end of the year, once things get back up, I want to start doing like a membership where I'll start doing lives and stuff, because I love coming on other people's lives. So I would love to like try that out myself. It's a little bit daunting. I imagine it's very different being in the hosting.
You can always save that Buffy video for a members only thing.
Oh, yeah.
That's what my husband said. He said, put that aside and do it for a members only. He's like, that way you won't have felt like you wasted your time.
Yes.
I'm like, yes, so that's a great idea.
I agree.
So just hopefully, I am hoping to, before Mike Flanagan's Carrie comes out, I am hoping to do a retrospective of the 4 Carrie films that already exist, because I've seen them all. And I have varying opinions on them all. So that's definitely one that I would like to do. So this will all be, though, within the next few months as opposed to the next few weeks. Not so immediate. But yeah, I'm feeling better. Things are going pretty well. This year's going all right. Good. So I think we're doing okay.
Good. So if you haven't subscribed yet, go to @RachelDoesFandom, @HeyInternet, Eric here. And, of course, subscribe to this channel, Fear the Talking Heads.
Over 200 now.
Over 200. Thanks to my friends.
Well deserved.
Yes, thank you. But this has been a lot of fun. My laptop is sitting at 16%.
Yikes.
50% now.
So go.
But thank you, both of you, for coming on. I thought this was a great conversation. And I can't wait to do this again sometime with you guys, maybe May, June-ish. We'll find something to talk about.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Hey, that's my husband in the chat.
Hey.
He said,
thanks
for the stream, guys.
My bestie.
Love you, husband. I have to go home to him because his leg is broken from trying to get out of the well. We're gonna let everyone else
No.
decide what that means, right, Eric?
I'm not saying a word because I don't want the same thing to happen to me, and we'll leave it at that.
Sayonara, everyone, and be good to people. Please don't be mean.
Yeah. Cheers.